Welcome to Jacket Jockeys with Justin.
And me, standing here on a threshold.
Okay. And very special guest.
The other me again, Claude.
No
Also
one
on a
ever wants to
threshold.
respond. when I say something.
Seamless.
Oh, we're so professional. Anyway, we're here to talk about season 3, episode 8 of MGM's mystery horror drama series, acclaimed and so on, award-winning, called From, starring the eminent Harold Perrineau, and this episode is entitled Thresholds.
That's right.
All right, so yeah, what do you got, y'all? Start talking.
So Claude, everything. Tell us everything you thought.
It's great. This is exactly when I'm watching like cable news and they have the host, and they have their guests, and the host is like, "Okay, we've got a bunch of guests, and here's our topic. Hey guys, just start talking. Just start talking. Now it's your turn. Just start talking. You got an hour to fill. Just do it."
And so in channeling that, I think we should shout over each other and
So that'd be great.
Argue
And like make asinine points and like
we always do
be
that. That's a
hypocritical
fixture.
and say the opposite of what we said last time, just for fun.
Yeah. I've always believed this. So yeah.
Since a minute ago when I said it.
This episode did have a little bit more horror.
There was some meat on the bones.
I was gonna say meat on the bones.
Wow. Really?
I literally was about to say this episode has meat on the bones.
I was thinking this episode will.
That's weird because I never used that metaphor, and I don't know why I did, and I regret it. But
it's not a vegan metaphor, so
it's so not.
Use it sparingly.
But I'm glad you were going to use it.
Every time you use that, greenhouse gas emissions goes up. So you got to be careful.
Can I just
was there a question to me or no?
Yeah, well, I'll let you go, but I have to say one thing before you go.
Oh, thanks, Kanye.
I'm sorry. No, I'm gonna let you finish. I'll let you finish, Taylor. But here we go. Hold on. So I was just gonna say that the fact that you were gonna use that metaphor gave me a permission structure.
Oh, God.
Can I just say permission structure?
Thank you. 2024 lingo.
I just thought I could use a
I've
cool
never
term.
heard that.
Have you not heard it?
No,
well, now you've heard it for the first time, and you're going to hear it everywhere because people are saying that a lot.
Well,
I try not to listen to people.
But I think that's over now.
Is it over?
Nobody needs permission, and there also is no structure.
Sick burn.
At least television still has structures. How's that for a segue?
Right. Hey, segueing back. All right. So what do you got, Claude? Go on.
Tell us everything.
Tell us everything.
There was some meat on these bones, these old rickety bones.
Dim bones.
Dim bones. That's a great Alice in Chains song. Dim Bones is one of my favorite songs.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Why did we ever play it? It's easy.
Wow.
Easy on what?
Easy on guitar and drums.
Neither is easy for me, so I don't know which one's easy for you.
Oh, okay.
This is the from cast.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we literally got
shit
so fast.
Sorry.
Okay, so what I was gonna say was, I was watching this. I was enjoying the fact that like this show is just keeps being inconsistent in a way that's very consistent. Things that were brought up last season aren't resolved yet. Things that the boy in white stuff.
Yeah.
Now we're finally coming back to it. But before I saw that one scene, I was like, they've dropped that for several episodes.
Yeah.
Even though they've worked tangentially around it with other stuff with Tabitha and Victor and the dad and stuff. But I'm like, where's the boy in white? I thought this was all important. Like, what were you like? Where are you going? You got nothing else to do with your time. I thought there was a lot of like stuff that was just enticing. But some stuff that was a bit nerve-wracking. I'm annoyed with Elgin and this ghost camera and him not telling anybody anything, and he's on a whole mission by himself. I really don't appreciate that. And the camera just consistently showing random stuff. that he needs to do. But yet the
Clues.
lady, but she can show up to him and tell him things with her mouth. So I don't know why the camera needs to.
Because they don't want the viewer to know yet.
And then Fish Face Lady shows up to Fatima. I'm like, you already got a character you're showing up to. Why are you doing a second
Yeah.
character?
Well,
Yeah, that
I
was
think I know why, but
Well, now I
anyway.
know why, but
Oh, okay.
I think.
Fair enough.
But so anyway, I liked the episode overall. I thought it started, the gears were turning a bit more than the previous few episodes. There's
Yeah.
a
It
lot
was
of
a
stuff
very
that kind of,
different episode. Yeah.
yeah, they threw up a lot of stuff. The whole stuff with, what do we do about Fatima,
Yeah.
and Boyd and Ellis trying to, not Ellis, yeah, Ellis.
It
Sorry,
is
not Elgin.
Ellis.
Ellis.
Yeah. I know. I
Trying,
mess that up all the time. Oh my god.
yeah, trying to figure that out was interesting. So overall, I like the episode. I just, I don't know where the show's going, and it has been the supernatural and the sort of mystery things that happen on the show have been so spread out and not in a way where you can connect the threads very easily. People are having really deep, isolated adventures, right? That on Lost, that happened on Lost, but
Yeah.
the isolated adventures all seem to be usually groupable into a larger theme about something or a larger plot point or something. But here, I just, people are really on their own. Like Julie
Yeah.
taking Ethan out to this crazy place by herself. I was like, what are you doing, Julie? This is a horrible idea as a big sister, to take him out there. I did love
Well,
what happened and what we saw was cool.
It was
But like, I
interesting.
just
Yeah.
thought character-wise, that was dumb.
It
I
was
do
weird.
So
It was a
anyway, yeah,
weird
that's
choice.
my general recap of some of the big stuff. Yeah.
I do think it seems like these independent adventures that people have been on are starting to coalesce around, like they've seemed to be independent, but now I think we're gonna see that they are
It
connected
does feel that
to
way to me
the
as well.
origin of what's happening in the place.
Yeah.
Um and
Well,
it,
I'd love
I
to see like you guys spell that out for me when we go through the scenes because
I
I'm
will.
not seeing a lot. I'm seeing some evidence of that, but not totally.
There's gonna be some, at least on my part. I can't speak for my co-host me, but I
So you can't speak for yourself.
no, strangely, it's me is not me. Anyway,
me is not
yeah,
There it is.
fair enough. That works. I some of it will be speculation,
yeah.
but I do
Okay.
feel like there's some indications in I no fewer than 3 plot lines in this episode that I think have potential overlap.
Okay. Okay. I literally
So
just finished the episode, so I haven't had time to digest anything. So yeah. Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah. It did. Yeah, the first time I don't know that I would have thought about it that way, but definitely watching it again, doing the notes, ruminating. I came up with some ideas. So we'll see. I'm gonna bounce them off you. Is
All
that really
right.
what I want to say?
Let's
I'm
digest
gonna
the meat off of these
I'm gonna,
bones.
I'm gonna
There it
bounce them.
is.
There you go.
You
All right.
wanna start us
You want
out
to dive
your
in here?
typical fashion?
Okay. So in the previously on, I'm gonna just use this as an opportunity to bring up a topic. So in the previously on, they play that thing from last week where Elgin goes down to the root cellar and he uncovers the secret door that was behind the armoire. And he goes in there and Kimono Lady appears and he says, is this really where it happens? Right. And
Mhm.
it was a mystery from last week. Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah.
And then they also repeat an earlier scene with Kimono Lady when she appeared to Elgin and said, help me, Elgin, I can save you all. So
Mhm.
so I just I like something hit me watching that, the second time, that is this really where it happens was actually a clue that I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if Elgin's been having conversations with Kimono Lady off screen. I don't know if he's been seeing pictures we didn't see. I don't know if he's been
Mm-hmm.
having dreams. I don't know what's going on, but he knows stuff that we don't see why he knows it.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, I feel like that line was an earlier indication that he actually knew at that point, I think, that that there was going to be like some kind of baby born down there. Like I think that's what he means by is this really where it happens. um
Hmm.
I think it was a setup for that. And yeah, just in general, like the way he behaves towards the end of the
But what a
episode.
weird. Sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was kidding, but what a weird thing to uh, a reference. Because because she's a ghost or some type of apparition, I thought, usually help me means I got to move on, I'm stuck here, whatever. Like, but now we're in this like this ghost that also wants to help them. So when he said, "Oh, is this where it really happens?" I thought he was talking about her death or something about what
Mm-hmm.
she needs help with, not
Right.
what we see later, which seems to be the place that this baby is gonna be born, which is craziness. There's a ghost baby that
Yeah.
doesn't show up on I was gonna say sonar, that doesn't show up on sonogram, and also is somehow supposed to be a key to saving them. Why is he trusting her? Number
Right.
one,
That's a
um,
great
Ding
question.
ding
right?
ding.
Yeah, so why is he trusting her? He's doing all this, and of course, I hate the whole. It just makes my skin crawl to have a man drag a woman into a place against their will.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh God, Elgin, don't do that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Um, and I was hoping her rage would help. She was so filled with
right.
rage, but
Yeah,
now
yeah,
she's
Need
yeah.
some garden
But the
but
rage
shears.
still,
is
I don't know. I'm
connected,
really
I think, to what he's
but you
doing.
make an
So
interesting point that that he seems to have got when she appeared to him and said help me, maybe they talked longer, right? And
yeah.
so he got
And we
more
didn't hear
information
it.
about
Mm-hmm.
what it's interesting because he did get once he found that camera, he was all about taking pictures, but then taking pictures for the photo wall or whatever. But then
Yeah.
once the camera started doing ghost camera stuff, it was like,
Yeah.
oh well, I'm back to following this. It was odd to like put one step towards a different goal and then to be like, well, no, actually, he's back on this path with the kimono lady. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't I feel like I'm not buying where this is going, but we'll see.
Right.
Uh,
So yeah, I mean there's a lot that remains to be revealed about the kimono lady and all of this and what her motives are. And what was his dream on the bus, which they referenced in this episode? What kind of visions has he been having? What does he have a credible reason to trust
Hmm.
her?
I think he said what his dream
Um
was in season 2.
Yeah, I thought
he
it was basically about the place.
I thought
yeah,
he
but
dreamed
I
about the boy in white. And
yeah, but
Oh.
I just
and I think the boy in white said like turn around, or I don't remember. It was
yeah, but is
something
that
along those
really
lines.
all there was? I mean,
Okay.
is there more info basically just like what information does he have access to that the viewer hasn't seen?
Yeah.
And like what sense do I feel that he ought to be making from that? Because, there's a heavy it's not even a theme, it's like outright addressed throughout the series, including in this episode, of like what are the motives of the various forces on in this place, like are any of them actually rooting for what the viewer would consider to be something good? Like is if what's happening in this place is a consequence of like something that started with this horrific situation with these children being murdered,
Hmm.
is kimono lady uh is what she's compelling Elgin to do, is it really what's gonna stop that, or is she a bad actor?
I have a specific thought about a vague sort of connection between, that plot line and the children, save the children, all that stuff. But I but
Won't
I want
someone save the
but I
children?
Won't someone please
but I
save
want
the
to save it
children?
until later. And I
Okay.
also have like a specific thing I want to lay out about just the way that whole thing plays out, and how to me it suggests, I think, that the kimono lady doesn't actually mean harm. I could be wrong about that, but that's
Hmm.
based on certain specific things that happen. I'm under the impression that it's try like that she is trying to make it as painless as it can be under the
Yeah.
circumstances.
Okay. I want to just put to what we were just saying about Elgin's dream. Basically, it looks like after hearing that Fatima is pregnant, Elgin is finally able to remember his dream from when the bus drove into town, which featured the
Ooh.
boy in white repeating the phrase, "Here they come for three, unless you
Oh,
stop the
that's what it
melody."
was.
The characters then work out that the phrase comes from an old nursery rhyme, blah blah blah. So I guess that's what I guess he had that dream, and then that made him say we should turn around or something.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
That's what it was.
part of me is like, I don't understand a From world where the villains seem to have omnipotent power, yet there's these individual entities like the boy in white and kimono lady who who are autonomous and can do certain things to help, and to seemingly be on the other side if there are two factions.
Yeah.
I don't know how to reconcile that, but it makes sense narratively that would happen. That we've seen stories like that, but it just makes me want to know, like, what what is this place, and who has control, and what can they do,
Yeah.
And again, we haven't seen the monsters in a while, which I'm
Yeah.
like, what's going
Indeed.
on?
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah, they've been very much in the background for quite some time, since the ambulance came, basically.
Yeah,
So, and that was like, I think that was like episode 4 or something. That was a while ago. So
yes.
yeah, I feel like the monsters will be back, but maybe not. I don't know. It is interesting. I think about season 2, and like season 2 did sort of sideline the monsters as well. The
Hmm.
whole thing they were dealing with at the end of season 2 didn't really have anything to do with the monsters, or did it? I don't know. I am starting to wonder about the connection there, since there's also like a cave thing happening, or
Hmm.
tunnels they call it, I guess.
Yes.
Anyway, like, because Julie goes there. I don't know, I feel like there's potentially some connection to the monsters, even though I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, we'll talk about it, of course, when we get there. But now that there's time travel on the show, anything goes.
Yeah, I gotta, yeah, once they finally did, I'm like, okay, well, I was definitely trying to make not time travel be the thing on the show. But yeah, I mean, they just went all in. So that's just yeah, that's clearly part of the story. I mean, in a major way. I mean, they did
In a major
they
way.
did they did the Sawyer seeing the baby. They
Yes.
did the
Yes.
scream from
The
Twin Peaks season 3. They
the yeah.
where like Dale's lurking in the whatever, and that's
Oh
like
yeah.
the,
Hmm.
the rope thing, right? Explaining the rope, like that
It
was
was so, I mean, I do want to do a hats off to them for that, because that was a mystery that I just thought they would never answer. I
me
just thought
too.
Martin did it because he's a bad
A
guy, and
weirdo,
he's,
yeah.
whatever, and that's it. Don't really need to. It wasn't a thing I was expecting to. That was a
Yeah.
mystery I thought needed answering.
Me
So the fact that they
either.
were like not only answered it in a way, but answered it and told us there's some new mechanics that they use in their storytelling with this time travel, so that's huge. So that was
Yeah.
that was cool to see, and it was multiple things. They went from that to
Yep.
hearing, I guess that was supposed to be Tabitha and Victor in the
Victor.
caves.
Yep. Yep. The first time they were down there.
So
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It
That's
is
crazy.
crazy. It's totally crazy. All right. So are you ready to
All right.
move forward or?
Yes, I do just want credit that I had an earlier theory that time travel or like the collapsing of time was gonna be
Mm.
so I just want credit that it
All
seems
right,
like
credit
it's
bestowed.
Oh,
No, I was definitely going against the
Cha-ching.
time travel thing, but I'm
I'm
not
gonna just tick
gonna be
that off
doing that
as I'm
anymore.
keeping track
Nice.
of my rightitude.
Tick tick.
Tick
That's why we
tick.
say believe women.
Oh god. One tick in the rectitude column for me. Whatever your name is.
Wow. Rectitude is not a word you hear all the
It's
time,
not. It's not.
especially in column form.
The rectitude column.
Rectitude. Yeah, it does sound like a robot thing. I don't know why.
That's exactly. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yes.
we'll talk more about that when we get there. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
will.
Did you do your checklist already?
That's what I'm about to
Okay,
do.
got
You
it.
ready for
Yeah,
it?
I'm ready for
All
it.
right, so this is my weekly checklist. All of the illustrious listeners know about my weekly checklist, but Claude, perhaps you don't know about my weekly checklist.
I feel like Justin's weekly checking list needs like a sound cue. Like,
Justin's
where's
weekly
the
check. Yeah, it
can the
does.
can the
Justin's
can the
weekly
production team
checklist.
can the production team add that in post, please?
Yeah. Just
Mhm.
get a nice bumper music. That's what I need here.
Yeah.
Did.
There. Okay, maybe I don't need it. We've got a cappella accompaniment.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah,
Well,
so
Ginny knows. Me knows what her job is going forward now is to make a noise every time it's Justin's checklist.
My name is not a secret. It just seems
you
weird.
just refuse to say it.
I like the lore of it though
Oh
now that
yeah,
it's
yeah.
she who shall not be
Yeah,
named.
There you go.
Oh, I could call you that from now
Yeah,
on.
by all
You know
means.
who?
By all means. Now, without any further ado, Justin's weekly checklist.
Nice.
Oh my god, it really sounds like we're Jay Jack now. All right. So, a little old
Ooh.
school for y'all.
I
Yeah, I know,
don't
right?
understand that
Seriously.
reference, and I don't want clarification.
No one needs to know, and no one cares. All right. So, Google it, y'all. Internet history.
Don't.
Learn it. Learn it. Learn it. All right. Anyway, uh, so so my check-in is Boy in White was mentioned this week.
Boy in
Not
White
exactly
was-
the way
Okay.
I wanted. Well,
Yeah.
the reason why I had a Boy in White check-in is because Tabitha came back. She told the story of what happened, but it seemed like no one knew shit about the Boy in White's pivotal role in that, and it was bugging
Mhm.
me that no one brought it up, and so on. And she is there when Boy in White is brought up again, but it's not actually
Mhm.
relevant to her thing. It's a different Boy in White revelation. But anyway, he comes up, so I'm gonna go ahead and give him a pass on that. Um,
Check.
the pregnancy test, Fatima's pregnancy test, I feel like that doesn't matter anymore. So I'm probably going to take this off the list going forward. But it just bugged me that no one acknowledged the fact that she had a pregnancy test come up positive, even though they were all doubting she was pregnant. Thank you.
I love
Um,
it.
okay, the blood eating that Fatima's doing.
Uh-huh.
I Okay. I feel like that sort of came up. I think it's sort of implied that that's why Elgin was drawing the blood, but
Mhm.
it's they didn't specifically say that.
But you know
So
what's interesting about that is she had been eating dead stuff. His blood ain't dead. So does it matter that it's not from a deceased person, or it just matters that it's blood?
doesn't
Like I
it
feel like we're
die once
splitting.
it leaves you? I don't know.
Even a fresh beet is
I
dead,
guess.
right?
Like he had to like walk out to the
Wait,
shack.
sorry. That's deep. Let's pause and
Yeah,
ponder
yeah.
that.
It's my it's
When
it's part of a haiku. I haven't finished it yet, but
it's just a high right now. I'll do the coup later. I won't mention political interludes there.
Mhm.
But
Bringing it back.
okay,
Wow.
okay, yeah. I guess it's dead enough by the time she'll get it. It'll be room temperature blood, so it'll be fresh
Yeah.
out the pipe.
There you go. And that's actually part of my case for benevolence. So
Case for
I will
benevolence.
bring that up later.
So feeding an evil baby is benevolent, and baby that when it's born is going to devour the souls of everyone in town.
Well, if that happens, then I'll drop my benevolent hypothesis. All right, but
Okay, so you're flexible. Got it. Just
I am
seeing where you are with
flexible.
that.
I just thought it was notable that it wasn't, you know, kill someone and take their blood, like he does it
Yeah.
to himself. And now maybe that was just Elgin's idea because the photo was ambiguous. It just showed a bag of blood. So, you know,
Now, remind me, this might prove me right or wrong, or I should say, go to my case or not. Uh, was it the boy in white who told Sarah to let the monsters in? I forgot who.
no.
It was just
Why did she let the
voices in
monsters
It was
in?
it was voices in
voices.
her head.
It was just
Vague
voices in her head.
voices. Yeah. Yeah, they were vague about it. I assumed that it was something like the Thomas that called on the phone, but it was just in her head.
Okay,
But I don't know that for a fact because we never
and they're
heard
just
them.
and they're just done with that now.
They're just done
No
with that now.
more. I feel like the villains have like I feel like it's like a board game. I feel like they're sitting around this table, this map, right? And it's like if you've ever played like any board game, like
Yeah,
Settlers of
like
Catan or something, right? You have a
Candyland.
map. Yeah, you have a map of a land, and then you have figures on the board that represent characters that are doing things, and then you as the player have things you get dealt that you can then play when it's your turn.
Hmm.
I feel like that's what we see. Somebody's like, oh, I'll play the telepathy, to eat the scary voices to the girl card,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah,
I can
yeah.
only play that once or twice or for so long, and then I can't do that anymore. I
Yeah.
have to like play something else. And that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Like I'll play the bring in a scary storm at a pivotal moment,
Yeah.
Yeah,
when they're on the roof and trying to make the call, right?
yeah.
Like they're not going to play that card when the characters aren't in a position to where playing that card would hurt them, right? So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, I'm going to save that for if they decide to try to radio someone. We'll do that. I don't know. That to me is like the best I can do for like why the crazy stuff is so random.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I looked it up, and Lord Licorice and his Licorice Castle are still as scary to me as an adult as they were when I was a child playing Candyland.
I don't know what those words are.
That's all right. Somebody listening does. Somebody
Okay.
here has the trauma of playing Candyland and being afraid of Lord Licorice.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
goodness! I didn't know there was a scary character in that game.
Lord
Well, I mean,
licorice. Yikes. Of
he's
course it's licorice,
smiling
because
in a
licorice
sort
is
of
kind of not that sweet.
And you know what? That's probably why he's so bad, is because
Yeah.
everyone doesn't like him, and
He's
he has
everybody
got
to
that
take
doesn't
it
like
off.
him.
bitterness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yep. And
It's
it's not
true.
his fault everyone doesn't like him, but it
Right.
just
It's a
it
sophisticated
just flows
flavor.
that
It's
way.
a weird thing to anise is a weird flavor to turn into
Mm-hmm.
candy since children don't really have a
Mm-hmm.
refined palate.
Which
Anyway,
means once you really get to know him, you'll like him.
Ooh.
But on the
yes.
surface,
Hmm.
you're like, oh no, run
Yeah.
away. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was a great game. I
Um
loved that as a kid. I just didn't remember the character.
yeah, no, it's just I had to look it up because I was like there was a part of the board game that I found really menacing. I had to pull it up to remind myself of it. Um but yeah, I can see that. I can see that comparison, and it does feel right to me. Like I remember when, the infamous episode when Jim and them like put the tower on top of Colony House, and then the radio and the
Mm-hmm.
storm and all that. It does have that feeling of like this force is just sending those things in, and now they've moved on
Mm-hmm.
to different
They're in winter
tactics.
mode now.
Yeah, although they
For
needed
some
it to
reason.
thaw. Yeah, it was like, why is I guess the last episode or something, like, wow, why is it raining? And it's like, oh, right, because they need the snow to melt. And
Yeah.
the fastest way for snow to melt is a rain.
I I'm assuming, do you guys think this is just a production thing that they're dealing with, that they're not specifically wanting it to be snow for a story reason? but
I
they're
don't
just
know. That's
like
a
that's
good
what I
thought.
assumed. I was just like, oh, wherever they're filming, it snowed when they had to film, and now they have to like say something about it. Like, but
That's like it's
but I don't know
too
if that's true because I don't know when they
expensive to
film.
keep the snow going or something. Because
Yeah,
this,
I'm just like, is it doing enough to be something that they would write into the story where they literally have to spend money making it look like it's snowing in a
yeah,
place where it's not snowing?
yeah. I don't know. It's a good question. I think snow
We could
also
find that out. We could
presents.
actually look it up.
Yeah,
I mean, so far, no. And they do film in Canada, so it probably does snow
Yeah.
there sometimes.
it's just that snow presents some practical problems. Like you're
It
gonna
probably
see
does snow in Canada sometimes.
footprints. Like footprints in the snow can be a problem. Snow covering bear traps. Like, okay, we're not gonna
Yep.
have any more people step in bear traps. So we don't
Right.
need the snow for that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Again, another card. I feel like somebody had the bear trap card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Boom. Here's the bear trap card.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, sorry. So that was a long segue back to Justin's list.
Oh, I have one.
Checklist.
I have one more item on my list, which is the bracelet. And just to clarify, what I mean is the bracelet that Henry had in his glove compartment that
Mm-hmm.
Tabitha found, and that's when she had her freak out that, oh my God, this is all fake. She tries to get out of the car. He doesn't let her get out. Then he drives forward, and that's when the car crash happens, and they end up in the ambulance. And then they arrive there. It's never addressed again
Mm-hmm.
what the deal is. Like, why was there another bracelet that was identical? Like, that's weird, you know?
Guys, I don't know if you
Um,
factored it into your hypotheses about the show yet, but we were joking about Tabitha being Victor's mother, and how ridiculous that might be. But now that we have time travel, somebody could be somebody. Somebody.
but the problem with that is that Victor's
There's no
dad
problems with
had.
that.
Yeah, that is
It's
actually
it's
a
a
major
If I say
problem
it
great
with
fast enough,
that.
it's true.
it's a great theory right up until the point where Victor's father sees Tabitha.
Yeah, he should
No, but that's
know.
the thing. He's gonna go. You know exactly what's gonna happen. The next episode, he's gonna be walking. He's gonna leave the bar. He was at the bar right with Jim. He's drunk. He's gonna leave the bar. He's gonna stumble and slip in the snow. He's gonna bonk his head, and then when he looks up, it's gonna be Tabitha. And he's gonna go, "Susie, is that you, my
Miranda,
wife?"
Miranda.
Oh, sorry, I didn't remember. It would have been a funnier joke if I remember her name. But
I can't wait for that.
Miranda?
It's going to be great.
And she slaps him. Who's
I
Susie?
forgot. I forgot exactly right. I forgot what you look like. It's been so long since I've seen you in your youth. I don't know. That's dumb,
Uh-huh.
but
That's how she looked when she left. So I just feel like he would remember that. He had pictures. I don't know. I That's hard for me to believe, but I do agree with the general point that people could be
We
people.
get the scene where
yeah.
Victor turns to Tabitha. Have I ever told you that you look exactly like my mother?
God. Oh, God.
Why am I so comfortable around you? Oh yeah, you look exactly like my mom.
I mean, there definitely is that parallel,
There's definitely a
and
parallel for
I'm
sure.
open to the
Okay, what
possibility that
could
that
could
bracelet is time traveling.
could now I'm gonna invert it a bit and rotate it. Could Tabitha be? She can't be Victor's sister, right? Like she's got this dream. She claims a dream of being a girl and being in that place. Like that can't be like actual memories, and she was there
I'll tell you
and
one
then left and
thing.
forgot who she was. I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna get some crazy thing like I feel like Lost did a couple of these where we're gonna have like the closing scene. Well, yeah, yeah, the closing scene of the episode. We're like back in the real world, and it's Tabitha's mom
Mm.
following up on that phone call. You know,
Yeah.
like we're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna get that, but that is significant. That's gotta come back, right? The fact that she called her mom when she was in Maine. Stunned silence.
Yeah, because I'm like, it seems like no, but it seems like it should. I feel like it was so isolated, and I think if they had cut to her mom and introduced her as a character, I'd be like, yeah. But since we didn't even get to see her, I'm like, I don't know, maybe that
Because
I
if
don't know how. I mean, what are you thinking? Could connect to like somebody? You know, she figures out where the call came from, and then she or somebody goes to that town and starts looking around or something. Or
well, I mean, I have no idea, but if Tabitha is Victor's sister grown up, then Tabitha's
mm-hmm.
mom might be his mother. Now, I know that he found his mother's body, he says, but who
Mm.
knows? You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Well, yeah. So a couple of
it's a
things.
crackpot theory, but
I think it's worth noting that they did show Victor's sister in a flashback, and his mother, incidentally.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
There's a flashback scene where you see both of them, and I mean the mother's definitely not Tabitha. The sister is maybe more possible, but just for the record, they did use a different actress for the flashback scene with
Yeah.
Tabitha, the dream scene with Tabitha, basically.
yeah,
So they could have used the same one if they really wanted to,
yeah.
make it more of a
That
strong
would have made it the reveal. That would have,
possibility.
you know.
I think it's more like an echo thing than a literal.
Mm.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like there's some kind of weird cyclical thing happening, and and even though there is time travel, I'm not convinced any of those people are, but I feel like someone being somebody is definitely on the table. I'm just not convinced by those particular somebodies being those
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
somebodies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess. Um, but that's not to say it can't happen. I wasn't convinced that Kimono Lady was connected to Fatima, and I was wrong about that. So,
Mm-hmm.
I will.
I don't get it. I don't get it. How do you say help me, and then the next thing you say is go, make a spot for Fatima to have a baby? Like, how are those two things connected? And oh, also help me is helping Fatima is helping all of y'all get out of here. Like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
It's
it
crazy.
is crazy. I have some speculation on that to come.
Ooh, stay tuned.
So, exactly. Okay, well, are you ready to start the first scene? Or
Yeah.
all right. All right. So we open up with Boyd taking Fatima to a shack. I think it's the one where Sarah was.
Yeah. I
Um
think so.
uh
That's where all the
It
wayward
looks
souls go.
it looks drafty as hell.
Yeah,
yeah,
too much grass.
specific comment about the draftiness coming. So stay tuned, y'all. Okay. So all right.
Wow.
Sorry.
How
Uh
drafty is it?
it's so yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a good joke for that. Okay. Fatima explains what happened to Boyd. Rage came over her, etc., with killing Tilly and stuff. Boyd says that she'll stay there and they'll figure out how to move forward. Fatima reluctantly agrees. Boyd has, I guess, some rotten vegetables in a little container. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what that was, though they don't
Yeah,
show them. But she doesn't
from
want
her
to eat
reaction.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. She doesn't want to eat them. She also realizes that they left Tilly there, and Boyd says someone needs to find her. And Fatima needs to be strong. She reluctantly agrees, and Boyd leaves, and we move into the credits. Um, okay, so the thing I want to say about this is like, any of you who've listened to me before, I have a particular kind of nitpick I like to do. This is very firmly in that category. See vampire rules. So I'm looking at this shack, right? And he's got this talisman there, right? And he's like, he puts the
Mm-hmm.
talisman on the door, right? I didn't mention it because it doesn't matter. It's like it's totally irrelevant. But like I'm looking at there's a shot where one of the boards has a chunk cut out of it that looked like it was about 4 or 5 inches wide.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have already established that if you open a window, the monsters can come in through the window. even
Yeah.
if there's a talisman at the door,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm like, how, like, couldn't a monster just like reach through, you know? Like,
It's
I don't
the act of
understand.
opening,
Like, I don't understand why this works. Like just
Mhm.
the rules make no sense to me. This thing looks really drafty, like you said. There's gaps everywhere. And
Yeah.
so I'm just like, why? What's the boundary where why does opening a
Well,
window
couldn't they
work?
just kick it? Couldn't they just throw a log at it? Couldn't they just
Uh-huh.
knock it down,
Yeah, shake it until the talisman falls off. Like,
I think
yeah.
it's like the answer is yeah, they just don't.
They just don't. Yeah,
They
okay.
don't. I mean, the monsters are already like in the background. They're like taking a break. Whatever the things controlling these actions are, are like we're not playing the monster cards right now. The
Yeah.
monsters are chilling. They're on their PTO or something like, you know.
Gotta
So
use it
it's just
up.
you gotta use it before the quarter ends, or you won't get it back. Um, so yeah, it does feel like a theme park. It's so funny. It feels like they work at a theme park and they dress up as like certain things to go scare the, the guests and the customers. And then when they're all done with their shift, they go back in the tunnels. But
Oh
yeah, it's
boy.
drafty, and I think it is vampire rules. It just works, and it just is like it's like democracy, where like it just
Oh no.
works to the extent people make it work.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
they can
Yeah.
change
for
it
sure.
anytime.
Yeah. Another thing I'll throw in here is just in general, I mean, this whole thing, this episode, like I think on a rewatch, like the most tedious thing about this episode is how many iterations of plans Boyd and Ellis go through
Mhm.
over like,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do about this? They go
Yeah.
back and forth and we'll go out in the woods. No, we'll go in the shack. No, let's tell everyone. No, it's just like it
Yeah.
gets so and the whole time I'm thinking none of this matters. It's all gonna come to nothing because Fatima's gonna be going to this root cellar and doing God knows what there, and like you won't be able to stop it, and so it's just like I don't know.
Mhm.
It's funny to me all these machinations of like how do we deal with the fact that she just murdered someone and like don't want to put her in a box and all that. Like
Mhm.
it was I don't know. Anyway, that's all
Yeah,
I want to
I
say about
think
that.
I I I think those scenes would have worked better if like coming later, like after people had found out and there was actual pressure to find someone to punish someone. I think the urgency that they had in those scenes and the sort of like panic about what to do, I think would have played better to me because I felt like um kind of to your point, like it was like it's not really gonna matter and they really just need to do something. But I don't know. So those scenes kind of was a little bit weird to me. To your point of like going back and forth and back and versus it being like, I feel like I've seen the show do that story and it had been more efficient with how they
Mm-hmm.
got through it. And
Yeah,
this felt like
yeah,
they drug it out with the back and forth.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There were multiple stages, like what Boyd wants to do, what Ellis wants to do, and then Donna shows up and she's
Hmm.
like, "Nah, you got to do this," and it's like, okay,
Hmm.
like
We'll talk
they were
about it when we
all,
get there. But yeah, when Boyd told I was like, okay, cat's out of the bag. You're not in control of this anymore. And then he acted like he was
yeah,
surprised that he wasn't in control
Yeah.
anymore.
yeah, 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 totally.
Yeah. That was
All right. So, any further comments about this? Ready to move forward?
Let's
Okay.
go.
yeah.
All right. So after the credits, we go to Jim, Tabitha, Ethan, and Jade returning to the town from the cabin area.
They look really happy.
Jade leaves. Yeah, they do. Jade leaves, the rest go into the house, and Ethan is like mad for some reason and storms upstairs. The episode never explains what he's mad about. I'm like, did I miss something in the previous episode? I have no idea why Ethan's mad. For the rest of the episode, he's sulking when Julie comes out, but then she takes him
I
out to the place and he's fine.
Yeah, I did catch that he was sulking in that scene. I was like, huh? What happened before? I forgot that he came into the house upset.
Yeah. He's like, he storms upstairs. I'm just like, what's wrong with you? I don't
Yeah, I mean, I think
understand.
he's pissed at the way that things unfolded with Jim and Tabitha at the settlement as
Was he just
well.
mad that they're like fighting
Just
about
that they were
stuff?
arguing.
Yeah, but I think just that they were arguing, but also that like his that Jim is like shooting down Tabitha's attempts to put together a coherent story, and like he him Ethan has been motivated in the past by a desire to like figure things out, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I feel like it's kind of it's in general the fact that they're being crappy, but in particular this like the way that it went, like Ethan and Tabitha and Jade were on an adventure to learn something. And
mm-hmm.
then Jim
Dad
is just
came in
like
and ruined it. Yeah.
yeah, he's just like a
Okay.
bucket of cold water. But I do feel like that scene at the settlement was really truncated. I didn't necessarily think we were going to get more at the settlement, but I was kind of hoping for more.
Where the
Um
rocks are, you're saying?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same. I thought. I mean, all we got was what we already knew, which was that she had a dream about that place. They just went there and confirmed the place was real, but I thought there would be another beat after that about, well, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think where we left off with it was like she's recounting that in the dream, she would hide behind this one rock,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that was making the other people afraid, um, like is lurking over her, and she sees it and wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I always want to know, like TV always just ends scenes at the point of highest drama, but I want to know
Mm-hmm.
like what was the denouement of that conversation? Like what else did they talk about on this?
Yeah, Jade's like, well, that's fucking weird, or something.
Right.
What did they say after she says that? And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Like, how do they? I mean, clearly we see how it affected Jim, right?
Yeah.
Um, but okay, yeah, interesting that.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think it's a little bit jarring to have him so pouty in that
Jim.
scene. No,
Oh no,
Ethan
Ethan.
in this
Ethan. Yeah, yeah,
scene.
yeah.
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 Yeah. It's just there was no, I didn't see any indication in the previous episode that like Ethan was pissed about stuff. Like, I don't know. Just seemed like I was missing something. So
And
anyway,
it could just be mostly kind of what we were saying, and then like just a little bit of like, they need him to go somewhere, like just as an action to play, like because they
Yeah.
are gonna go downstairs and talk, and he needs to be out of there, and so it's just kind of like, well, he's gonna go to his room.
Yeah, I do think like either it's a good enough reason for a child at that age to be pouting just to know that his parents are fighting.
Yeah.
Um, so
yeah,
anyway,
sure. I feel like when Julie comes in, like that would have been the time to have a line about it, but there
that's how you
Well,
know it
there is
doesn't really matter.
Julie's not interested in how Ethan's feeling. She's interested in how Julie's feeling.
classic Julie. All right. Well, anyway, all right, you ready to continue? Okay.
Mhm.
So Jade goes into the bar and grabs a bottle, but after a pause, he puts it down. Then he hears the noise, a noise, not the noise. It's not the noise. There's not only one noise. I'm sorry. It's Henry. Henry explains who he is and asks about progress with the all the red thread board thing that Jade's put up in the bar. And Jade says he hasn't made any progress. Henry asks for some liquor, and Jade gives him a bottle. And of course, we will return to this
We will.
location and situation later.
Yeah, we'll pick those guys back up.
Indeed.
Yep.
Okay. So Marielle is walking up to Colony House with some rando red shirt finds
Mm-hmm.
Tilly in the greenhouse and yells for Donna. At the same time, Elgin is on the porch with the Polaroid camera watching. He sets the camera down and it takes a picture. And he looks at the picture, and we don't see what it is at this point. It will only be later
Only
that we
later.
come to understand the
Mhm.
significance of this particular ghost picture.
Does that camera have infinite film? If a
I
ghost
was
takes a
I was
picture,
thinking that too, like how much film we got down there.
Yeah. It's not obvious. They didn't. They don't even. Yeah, they're acting like it is. I don't know
hmm
if it really is or if it's just like it's gonna work as long as they need it to. I don't know. They haven't
and
made any point about it.
what would be happening if they didn't find that camera?
Right, that's a great question. I guess just visions.
Just other visions, or some
Yeah,
other
like
way
in
for him to
dreams or
be,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or she's
Yeah.
like, well, I guess I have to talk to you now. Here's what I need you to do.
Yeah, written notes, instructions.
A text message.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
All right.
So Julie goes to talk to Randall at the infirmary. She wants to go back to that dungeon ruins area. Um, but Randall is not convinced, thinking that it could make things worse, and finally saying there's nothing here that wants to help us,
Yeah.
and tells Julie to stay away, and she leaves abruptly because she doesn't want to stay
Yeah, so
away.
that's a really interesting line. And one
Mm-hmm.
wonders if he's correct.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. So, like, is that true? Like, is that true of the boy in white? Do you know about the boy in white, Randall? Like, what about
Nope.
Kimono Lady? Is she gonna be
Nope.
helpful? She claimed that she could be helpful, but is it true?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What about Ankui kids? Like, are they gonna be helpful somehow? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything really, but
Whatever the writers want.
that's I don't know. I did think it was an interesting line. I don't think, he hasn't really been there that long compared to some of them. So, and he's had a really specific experience. So, he might just
He's
be,
had it as bad as almost anyone, and he's been there a
yeah,
Yeah.
shorter time than most people. So it is a very
yeah,
particular thing with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But we don't really come back to that. I think this is the end of Randall for this episode. So,
Yeah. I really
No,
thought he
he's
was
in the
gonna
Elgin. He's
play.
in the Elgin scene later.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
which
I thought
Elgin scene?
when Elgin goes to get the blood. Um.
Oh, right, he's there in that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's so brief it doesn't, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even register. But yeah, you're right. Okay. So ready to continue? Okay.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Boyd and Ellis. They're walking towards Colony House, going over their story. The story is that, and this is where I'm like, I feel like it's a waste of time even describing this because all of this doesn't matter. But
The story's thin.
the story is that he and Fatima were with Boyd last night.
What does that
But
even mean?
I don't
At the
ask
sheriff
me.
station or
That's what he
like?
said. With me, all right? Leave me alone. I don't know
Yeah.
what it means.
Uh-huh.
So Ellis wants to tell the truth, but Boyd doesn't think it's a good idea. He tells Ellis to pack a bag for Fatima at the shack. Kenny comes over and tells Boyd about Tilly. Acopsta. Oh, just so you know, this little podcast thing. This new character, this cop character who came in on the ambulance. Her name is Acosta. It's
But didn't Claude wasn't Claude around for the christening of Acopsta?
no,
I don't think so.
no, because he was here in episode 2, and that was
All right.
before Tabitha returned.
Fast forward to the
So
end of this.
yeah, so her name is Acosta, but she's a cop, so we call her Acopsta. So I just wanted to make sure you
Naturally.
understood
Yeah.
why I'm saying that. Okay.
Acosta. I got it.
All
I love
right.
it.
It's Acopsta. So Acopsta is looking over the scene. Um
Yeah.
Boyd asked basic questions. No one saw what happened.
This
Acopsta
is a
does,
procedural cop show
yeah.
scene.
Yeah. Suddenly,
Chili in the greenhouse with the shears.
exactly. Acopsta doesn't think it was the monsters, and she wants to question people. Boyd
Mm-hmm.
says that he and Ellis will walk the road because
Right. Way to coin a phrase.
yeah, because maybe it was some mysterious strangers, like new arrivals,
Love that.
that came from outside the
Yeah.
town, right? And that's why it's so weird to describe this because like it's a
We all
lie.
know we aren't the only people here.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
But
We all know it.
God, it is that actually. It's like literally that because he knows he's bullshitting. Anyway, new arrivals that did the murder. Kenny agrees to do interviews even though he's not the deputy anymore and leaves. Akopsta asks if good her she and Boyd is what she means.
Mm-hmm.
Boyd's after the whole like fight about the gun. Boyd says,
Yeah.
"Let's find who did this." Great Boyd.
Yeah.
Donna comes in and sees, and she immediately realizes people will suspect Sarah. Boyd tells her to meet him at the station, and they will talk to Sarah together. And yeah, that's gonna happen too. Can't wait. So just a small point here. Um, she's like, those monsters don't use garden shears or whatever. And I'm thinking about that woman who was stabbed through the head with that whatever that thing was, I forget what you call that. It was
Like a spike or
it was
something?
it was from
Or...
a
Like a
trap.
piece of
It
rebar.
was like a rod. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not that far away from this. They
Yeah.
stabbed her.
Listen, the
Yeah.
monsters. I mean, statistically, she's correct, but like they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and
Like,
I'm just like, that's a faulty conclusion.
Yeah,
Like, of course she's
people
right.
said
she's Occam's
like
razoring it, which is fair in an investigation
Yeah,
at this point. But it's just, but yeah, but it's the Hercule Poirot thing or whatever. The Sherlock Holmes, like, that's how you will miss the suspect if you discount
yeah,
some possibilities early on. So
exactly, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, this is all just a lot of like, we know what's going on, but most of these people have no idea, except for Boyd. And so yeah, it's just, business. I am kind of wondering about Acopsta. I had a vision for what would happen with Acopsta in this episode, and I really hope it doesn't come to fruition in a future one, because like she ends up getting like distracted by the Julie Boyd situation, or not Julie Boyd,
Randall, Ethan.
the Julie boy is what I meant, but yeah, Ethan is who it actually is. And so she's like not even paying attention to the Tilly murder for the rest of the episode after that. So it's like they kind of dodge the issue. But like I am wondering if like she's gonna find out Boyd covered this up and like try to stage a coup, or if like the townspeople are really gonna get together and make a mob to go after Sarah. Like, because it does, like Sarah doesn't even find out in this episode that like
yeah,
that there's a murder, and B that people might suspect her of, like none of
yeah.
that even comes up, even though they talk about it. So I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
is that just bullshit business for this episode? Or are they actually gonna, because that's just gonna be so tedious if a mob comes for Sarah and it's like they're wrong, and it's just like, please don't make me sit through
Yeah.
that. I really hope that doesn't happen. And I also hope a cop that doesn't try to stage a coup because Boyd covered some shit up for his daughter-in-law. Anyway, that's just
Yeah, I think.
I don't. You think?
Well, I was
You're
just gonna
saying you
say,
think
I think
she might stage a
every
coup?
path forward with her is tedious.
I agree. It's unfortunate. It's kind of unfair, but I don't. Every time she's on screen, I don't want to see anything she's doing. Is she gonna take that uniform off
never.
and change
Never.
into other clothes, or is she just always on duty?
She's always on
Um,
duty. A
Even
good
with an
cop is
empty
always on
gun.
duty.
Well, hey, there you go. That's why
Boyd
they
would
call her
know
a
that
cop.
if he was a real cop.
I thought they were gonna have more interviews and stuff, and I thought they were gonna waste our time more with interviewing people about what they saw, but I'm glad they only did that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It was only a little bit tedious. Yeah, those first people that they talk to are just like assholes and like.
Yeah, like why? Like it's like a weird. I think that's like a classic red shirt thing to do. Like, oh,
Yeah,
here's a
yeah.
character we've never seen before. Let's make them ornery for some reason, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
let's give the. It's like trying to give them like the benefit of the doubt, or what am I trying to say? Like trying to make them stand out as much as possible,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
we have never seen them before. To try
In
to
a
offset
simple
that.
way.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
all right. So then we move forward. We have Sarah operating Jasper or ventriloquizing, I don't know. Um, Using her own voice and clearly just bullshitting, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
But Victor is not pleased and he has a standard Victor freak out, and
Yeah.
Sarah tries to get him to stop, and we'll come back to that. He's not done freaking out for this episode.
And now there's 2 more freakouts.
More freakouts to come. All right. So Jim tries to talk Tabitha out of the whole saving the children thing again, because he's just really on that horse. Then he brings up the phone call from Thomas. Jim realizes that something there knows things about them and how to manipulate them. At this point, Sarah knocks. Victor is requesting Tabitha, and Tabitha says she'll get her coat. So,
Um, I think it's naive to think that that phone can't ring just because you unplugged it from a wall where
Mm-hmm.
it's not
where there
connected
was
to
no
anything.
actual connection there, yeah, I totally
It's
agree.
not that I
Mhm.
think it is actually gonna ring because
He should have to destroy it, like Kenny did with the jukebox.
yeah,
Like if he destroys it, maybe it won't work anymore. But
yeah,
like, I agree, it probably
Mhm.
could ring just as well
yeah.
where it is now.
We've
Yeah.
mentioned many times about this issue of there are people who know things. Uh,
Yeah,
and but I also just want to say, like, they talk openly about Thomas. It's not as if it would be impossible for it's not like this revelation that, oh my god, I had dreams about this place as a child. I'm just like, you guys have had many conversations about Thomas.
So you're saying if somebody was just doing something as pedestrian as just have a listening device in the house,
Yeah, just
they could overhear them
eavesdropping.
talking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
supernatural as he seemed to imply.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I
Now,
agree.
how the phone actually works is different.
Now, there is the Boyd example of you can't break me or whatever, where no one was there apparently. It was out in the woods, so listening device, I mean, it's possible, but like, the monsters
But it's
knew.
not like, the jukeboxes where it's like, the jukebox plays this song that was like, that had some special significance to them. Like the If I Had a Boat or something.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's something supernatural here with these fucking jukeboxes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But anyhow.
But I think there is something, if there's not something supernatural with the knowledge getting, there is something supernatural with the knowledge spreading,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
because I just don't see how the monsters could know that stuff without there being some, unless do they go to meetings? Like, it doesn't seem like they do.
Well, there's obviously supernatural in some way things happening here. So,
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing that. I just mean specifically relative to the knowledge of stuff,
yeah.
I feel like there's got to be something supernatural involved there. Um, but hey, I wait an explanation if I'm wrong about that.
Hmm.
Okay, so all right, we'll move forward. Elgin walks into the infirmary and tries to take something, but Randall catches him. Yes, it is Randall. He
Ah!
says it's for a band-aid. And he mentions Tilly and uh, uh, apologizes. Oh, sorry, Randall mentions Tilly and apologizes to Elgin, admitting that he was right about turning the bus around. And Elgin apologizes for vomiting on Randall's shirt. And so Randall leaves, and Elgin takes a kit for drawing blood.
Normal.
So yeah, we'll come back to that, obviously. So this is Randall's final scene, I believe.
Yeah.
It's very functional. Okay. Any comments or
No,
okay, just checking.
I was just gonna say,
Go for
what
it.
a horrible liar Elgin is. I
It's
cut my
bad.
foot.
It's
my foot
bad.
that's in my sock, that's in my shoe that I'm just standing on.
Yeah.
What is it just bleeding in your
Yeah.
sock now? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. 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 I was getting
And why
Hurley
would band-aids
vibes from
be in
that.
her bag?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it didn't add up at
Oh,
all on
Elgin.
any level. But he got away with it. So hey, what can I say? It
Because
doesn't seem
Randall
like
doesn't give a shit.
I mean,
I did
Randall
no.
does not
appreciate
give a
the
shit. Yeah.
I appreciate the softening of Randall. I feel like I was just thinking about his character from this actor's perspective and what he, kind of I'm curious, what is he thinking because his character hasn't had his character's in this like weird stasis. He's in some interesting plots, but he's not really doing anything or moving towards anything himself.
Yeah.
As you can see from him, just like his language, like even when he was in this Elgin scene, it was just kind of like, this is who Randall's just hanging out by himself doing nothing.
He's just there
You
because that's where he
know?
was sleeping. I mean, that's not
Yeah, yeah.
particularly.
But he's like lonely and it's introspective, and
Yeah,
I just feel
sure.
like he's and
Yeah.
he lived on the bus all this time by himself, but like nothing to really do, and he's
Yeah.
self ostracized, of course, but like.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about his character and like they haven't really obviously he was part of the They Come for Three thing, but
Mm-hmm.
he's been a victim of some interesting stuff, but he hasn't found anything himself that he's trying to do. And even Julie gave him a call to adventure here, of course,
Yeah.
that he decided not to go with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Which he was probably right to do. I did appreciate his point of view of like,
Yeah.
yeah, when the hair stands up back your neck, it tells me I shouldn't go there, and maybe it'll be worse if we do this thing. And I think
Yeah.
characters in stories always think that's the crazy thing. Oh, that's the answer. I'll go in the dark pit. Like I'll
Yeah,
go
yeah.
in the cave. So it's like actually maybe it's worse if we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's a good point. But I think there's a good chance Randall will get involved in that plot going forward in the last two episodes. I can
Yeah, that's fair.
imagine, because it felt like Julie's thing is truncated and like unfinished. And so I feel like it would make sense since like she had an odyssey that was connected to her, experience, the trance experience. Like maybe he'll have, and maybe Marielle will also get involved with that, since they were
Mm-hmm.
the three. So that's just speculation, but yeah, I agree with all of your points about Randall for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ready to move forward? Okay. So Victor waits as Sarah arrives with Tabitha. He thinks that Tabitha can make Jasper talk, but Tabitha's kind of skeptical. Victor freaks out again. Tabitha tries to talk him down. She gets him to sit down. Then she starts asking questions. Victor tells her about the time he heard Jasper talking to Christopher, and Tabitha says we can do this together. So this sort of transitions from let's make the ventriloquist dummy talk to let's just get Victor to remember this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it turns into. In
It's a
fact,
little
the
less scary.
ventriloquist dummy thing is actually a red herring. It seems like
Yep.
there is no
Yeah.
magic talking Jasper. Like
Yeah.
it's not real.
Which I think we mentioned that as a possibility earlier on because we were just seeing his
Mm-hmm.
memory of.
I believed it for what it's worth, but I was
Well,
wrong.
I wasn't sure. I didn't really want to see a ventriloquist doll talking of its own
Yeah,
accord
I
because that's
completely
fucking
agree.
terrifying.
I
And
did. I
tell
wanted
and
it.
like tell a story and be like, and
I
then
was
he's like,
ready.
why are you alive and what's happening and is it gonna,
Yeah.
then what? Is he on the show forever? Or does it self implode? Like
I
what's
mean,
Okay,
gonna
I really thought that Sarah was going to tell the story
I did too.
through that it would be
Yes.
like this channeling
Yeah,
thing.
that's
Well,
yeah.
it's Chekhov's ventriloquist doll, right? I mean, you
Uh-huh.
expect when you see a doll that has to tell the story, someone's gonna stick their hand up that thing and talk, but
Somebody's got
nope.
to stick their hand up that thing.
Yikes.
You quote
All
me on
right.
that,
So,
unfortunately.
hmm, So, yeah, we will come back to this plot. So I'll move forward for now. Julie arrives at home and asks Jim how it was out at the cabins. He says not great and then leaves. Fucking Jim. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Fucking
He
Jim is right. Oh, Jim, you're not. No one's betting on you for Father of the Year, Jim. You know, you're not winning that
This
horse race, man.
this episode drove home just
Yeah,
some of the things that, like, oh my god, Jade's lines to
we've
him.
been complaining about
yeah,
Jim quite a bit, and yeah,
yeah,
it did seem like this episode tried to get to a Jim reckoning.
Yeah.
So perhaps he'll be better moving forward, but they did have to bring him to kind of a shitty place before they could,
yeah,
turn him
Yeah.
around. But
yeah.
it,
But I think you're right. I hope. Yeah, they needed to give him a way to reset his motivations and how he's responding to
yeah.
things. So we'll see. Yeah.
So anyway, he says Ethan is upstairs. So that then he leaves. Julie goes upstairs, and he's sulking, but she invites him to see something really cool, and this gets his attention.
God.
You
It's
know,
like,
it does play like there's a scene we didn't see from their walk back, and
yeah,
she know like she's not surprised that he's sulking. Because yeah,
no,
I forget. Yeah, that's right. I remember that scene. And I'm like, why is he hiding in the court? Because the way that you even see the shot, you don't even know he's in the room for like a
yeah,
second or two. So you see him behind the bed, and it's like, what? But then they don't actually bring it up.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
Maybe you're
maybe they cut
right.
something.
Maybe it is
Yeah, maybe
deleted. See,
they
that actually makes sense.
yeah, maybe they had a more direct argument. The parents did.
Yeah, yeah, on the
Uh,
way back or something. Yeah,
yeah,
and they just cut that part, and they thought it didn't matter
and
enough to explain.
Julie saw Ethan
Yep.
be upset about it. So when she comes into this room in this scene, she and she's trying to also give him something else to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, distraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Distraction. Yeah.
Um. All right. So obviously we will also return to that plot.
Distracting him with danger.
Distracting with very
Ooh.
danger distraction.
That's just like
Absolutely.
a Lifetime movie TV
Yes, definitely.
title.
All right. So Henry tells Jade, this is back at the bar. Henry tells Jade about Miranda's visions. Jade knows about them already. Henry regrets not listening to her. Henry wonders why Jade thinks he can figure this out. Jade thinks he's smarter than others who have tried. Jim comes in doing his Jim thing, complaining about Jade, quote, dragging Tabitha out to the cabins and, quote, filling her head with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, sorry, I'm gonna save it. Jade's not having it, saying that she came to the bar and saw the thing and she wanted to go to the cabins. Jim insults Jade and tells him to stay away again. Jade fires back saying he is helping. There,
You're skipping his amazing line. Filling her head with ideas. What is she, 9?
yeah, I did skip
Yes.
that line.
Yes. Thank you.
That was so
Jim,
good. That was
stop
so good.
treating your wife like a
Yes.
child. And don't treat
Yeah.
children like that either.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
Just
want to say
stop
more
being
about
you,
that.
Jim. Just stop being
Stop
you.
being Jim. Stop being so Jim. God. Turn down the Jim on your Jim.
Yeah.
They're right, saying he's helping. There's some yelling, and Jade leaves saying, if you have a problem, talk to Tabitha about it. She's a grown-up.
I
Henry
love that.
says, Henry says that was productive. Um, so yeah, so the thing I was gonna say is like, I don't know. I'm just like filling her head with ideas. I'm like,
Yeah.
she got that
Yeah.
from like way
Her head
before she
already had
talked to
those
Jade.
ideas. Her head already had those
It
ideas
was,
too.
yeah, that was from the real world and the pictures and all that stuff. That's what filled her head with
Yeah.
ideas. It's not
Yeah.
like
But that's
Jade was like, hey,
yeah.
Tabitha, you're the chosen one. That was
Yeah.
ah. Anyway, it just bugged me. That was
I
like, that's not
but
remotely what
I thought
happened.
the writing was really good in this scene. I thought how the characters came at it, I thought was really well done. Even because Jim is looking for somebody to blame, he's not being
Yep,
rational, right?
definitely not.
So those lines should be cringy, and they are, And I love when like you said, like me said, don't say your name. Um, when that he said
Sorry, it took me a second.
Oh,
Yes, got it.
yeah. Then he said, sorry, I lost my train of thought. When he said, you are, oh God, what did he say? Sorry, I'm looking at the episode. Oh, the filling her head. Sorry, the filling her head with ideas thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just like just calling to the fact that like yeah, she's not a child because I feel like I've seen these scenes before where a character says that kind of thing and we just take it. Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, he's filling her
Hmm.
head. But it's like no, actually she's not a child and there's other. She's on her own journey with all this stuff and I like
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
ended. The scene ended with like if you have a problem, you should be talking to your wife, which is really what their problem is in their marriage.
Yeah.
Is you know
100%.
yeah so.
Yeah. I thought this scene was also interesting that Jade kind of throws out this idea that Jim it goes back to when they first met and there was
Yeah.
this kind of pissing contest about Jim
Mm-hmm.
designing roller coasters and Jade being some like I don't know more sophisticated type of I don't know
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur or whatever
Hmm.
that there's like a class dimension to his the acts that he's constantly
Oh,
trying
yeah. He did sort
I
of
forgot about that.
insinuate that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so
and
I just
yeah,
thought that was kind of interesting.
yeah, and I do think you're right about that. There is that subtext, and also I think there's also probably Jim feeling like Jade is helping his wife, Tabitha more than Jim
More than
is,
he is.
and
Yeah,
Yeah,
him
for
yeah,
sure.
resenting that.
Definitely.
yeah.
And he's like, stop doing the thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help
Yeah.
her, and you're not helping me because I
Hmm.
can't help her the way you're helping her. So
Yeah.
stop doing that. The roller coaster thing's interesting. I forgot that's what his job was because I feel like he has put those skills to use 0 times. Like, shouldn't he be the guy going, well, if I was designing a sophisticated machine, this is what I would do, or you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he should have some like skills and things that could come into play about,
Yeah, I
how this
mean,
place works.
yeah, since the
I
tower,
think he
which
did
did
design a
involve,
tower.
using
That's
his skills
fair.
to design the
Yeah.
tower, but then that whole experience kind of flipped a switch for him where ever since then he's not been trying
He's
to
not
fix anything.
he's not trying to do anything
Yeah.
really.
I mean,
Yeah.
and
That's
it's
fair.
just kind of like I can understand how that experience, he got not only his own hopes up, but everybody's hopes up.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
what came about from it was totally devastating. So I mean, I can understand him, that being a crucible moment for his character. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, he needs to stop being such a prick and
Mhm.
specifically stop like constantly trying to protect Tabitha from things
Mhm.
which incidentally he can't do and
But
incidentally in this
I
very
agree with you.
moment
But
he's like
like,
abandoned his children and now they're going off to an
uh,
extremely dangerous place.
yes, yeah. But and it's funny. It's funny you say that, right? Because like in that scene when Julie comes home and Jim's like, "Oh, I got somewhere to go. Gotta go. Bye. Watch your brother. Bye." It's like she's like,
Hmm.
"Huh? Like I don't
Right.
know my dad to be so strong-willed. Like, and okay. He's going to do something.
Hmm.
Okay,
And it's been
but what
like
he's going to
two
do is abandon
days
you guys, and now you guys are gonna go do something crazy."
Yep.
Yeah. And it's
But
been like 2 days since she dressed him down for not being there for the two of
yeah,
them after
Oh yeah.
Carlos died, for like being an absentee father. And now
yeah.
it's like, all right, see ya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's
Once
actually
again,
done that multiple times at this point,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
he's just let
it's a
Ethan
running
like fuck
gag.
off and do whatever
You
with
know,
no supervision like multiple
so
times.
you were saying like you're making a good argument that he should stop trying to protect Tabitha, but I felt like the counter argument was like when she went off to find the children. Like I thought the lesson he learned was he should have tried to stop her and not just let her go. Like do this crazy thing.
I mean, he did try to stop her, but she kind of wouldn't be stopped. Um,
But that's what he was arguing. Didn't wasn't there a scene where he was like, "Yeah, I shouldn't have let you go," like because
yeah,
he was just like,
definitely. Yeah.
oh yeah, okay, go save the children, bye. Then he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have just like that was an example of him not doing the right thing. But I agree that it seems like the point is like he should be letting loosening his grip, but his grip seems pretty loose on his family.
Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it's definitely loose on the children, but there's a real pattern of, anytime Tabitha tries to make sense of this place or really show
Mm-hmm.
any kind of independence and agency, he
Mm.
like kind of gaslights her. And like when you watch the season, watch for this,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just repeatedly, she's got a
Mm-hmm.
clear idea, it's got a good rationale, and he just undermines her, even though when
Yeah.
he gets an idea he thinks it must be right.
Yeah, and I definitely remember just on a small example of that. I think was when she had to emphasize to him that her dream wasn't just a one-off dream. It was something that it was a recurring nightmare. It's because
Yeah,
she was basically having to tell him, "Hey, no, Jim, I know what I'm talking about here.
yeah,
Like these are the rocks. It wasn't just one dream I had, 30, 40 years ago. Like this
yeah,
was a big deal to me. I know what I'm talking about here."
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
yeah.
that goes to your point.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he's, and Victor's dad is gonna drive this home, that like he's afraid, he
Mm-hmm.
feels like he should be protecting his family and he doesn't know how. But
Yeah.
you
Which
don't
goes,
this isn't the right way to respond to that.
I was going to say, it probably goes directly to their basic trauma of losing Thomas because
Yeah.
he couldn't stop that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
also he just sucks.
But also, he just sucks.
Jim, you
Sorry,
just
Jim.
suck.
I feel like I always think that too, that in another version of this show, he's the main character. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
he's the
totally.
Jack or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it is not that show for sure. But
No.
yeah, there is definitely a version of the show where that would work, but
Hmm.
that's just not the way they're writing
Like
it.
it's like if there was no Boyd, this is the guy who would have come into town as a
Yeah.
new guy, right?
Yeah.
And then saw a vacuum, and then like of leadership, and then like stepped up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. But yeah, I'm hoping this episode helps him turn it around and he's like a better Jim for the last two episodes.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
Yeah.
I feel like he takes in the lesson here. There's another scene coming
I think he takes in the
with
lesson
Henry
with
where
Henry, yeah.
it seems like
Yeah.
he was receptive to the ideas that Henry was presenting. So yeah, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. I definitely gave Jim some slack when Tabitha was gone, because
Hmm.
that was pretty stressful and stuff. But yeah, he hasn't been great since she came back.
Yeah.
It's a real mixed bag. But anyway, um are you
Yeah, let's do
ready
it.
to move forward? Okay.
Hmm.
So let's see here. Ellis, Ellis? Yes, Ellis. Um I always want to make sure I get it right. Ellis arrives at the shack. Ellis tells Fatima everything is okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, sure it is, Ellis. She's not having it. Ellis offers to go live in the woods. Fatima says there is something inside her and it could take over again. Ellis says, "We are stronger than this." And yeah. And he shows her the backpack of supplies and the lucky handkerchief. They hug it out, and Ellis leaves, saying he'll be back soon.
Okay, get out.
Yeah, that's
All right. Peace, bro. See you later, mate. All right. Stay cool. Stay chill.
that's what they said.
As
I
exactly.
I didn't put the quotes in, but I'm glad you could add them.
Yeah, I remember.
So he says he'll be back soon. Fatima sniffs the handkerchief and suddenly has a vision of Kimono Lady, who then disappears.
Yikes.
I
So
didn't catch that she sniffed the
yeah, she
handkerchief.
sniffs the handkerchief. She takes
She
a big
sniffed
sniff.
it?
Yeah.
Unclear whether that is significant.
Or I don't know if sniff's the right word, but she puts it up to her nose and takes in a deep breath,
Yeah, she breathes it in with
She
her
breathes it in.
nose.
There you go. She inhales.
What is that from? Is
I,
it Ellis's or something?
yes, I don't know. I don't think
Yeah,
we've ever
I
seen it
think
before.
no, I think that there is an earlier episode.
They talked about this before?
I,
I don't
She's
the
got it in her
remember.
handkerchief.
hand this whole scene.
Yeah, I think there's a scene. Maybe he's like, "Oh, this is my lucky handkerchief because I was wearing it the day I first saw you."
Oh. Oh,
Okay, yeah,
okay.
there was something about that.
Okay. That makes sense. I could buy
I
that.
don't see why it would matter to include that, but it is tender and personal.
It's a weird note, and it's interesting that the sniffing of the handkerchief is what happens right before.
Yeah, that might just be a coincidence. On the other hand, smell is a very powerful.
Yeah, like is Komodo lady somehow was her essence like in the handkerchief? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. But like
Or it has to do with luck. I don't
it,
Yeah.
know.
there's I don't know. It's the timing's weird. But this was definitely the first scene where I was like, oh shit, Komodo lady is connected to Fatima's like weird pregnancy thing,
Yeah.
and
Is
like
Kimono Lady like a ghost midwife? And she's gonna help deliver the ghost baby?
I hope so. I can't wait. I can't wait for the ghost delivery.
Oh boy. For the night is dark
it's
and full of terror.
Oh my god, it is that. You're right. She's gonna be like the Davos.
yeah, the
The red
doula got the
woman.
gula.
Oh,
Yes. That's it.
Galadula! Perfect. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. No one can beat that. We have to move on. Um, okay. So unless someone wants to beat it, good luck. I'm not doing it. All right. So we see the Polaroid of the blood bag. And Elgin prepares to use the kit to draw his own blood. We see the blood going into a jar, and then the camera goes off, and we catch a brief glimpse that it is the shack. So
What we didn't know until this scene is that back in the real world, Elgin was a phlebotomist.
Yeah, he knows exactly how to
Yeah.
on the first try
Hmm.
get that right in
Yeah.
the vein and he's
Yep.
all good.
is that
Yeah,
He's
dude. And
he's better at that than anyone who's ever drawn my blood.
is that is that what you call that? A phlebotomist?
A phlebotomist is somebody who draws blood. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you
mhm.
serious? That sounds like a
It's
word you
from the
made
Greek
up.
I did not make it
That's
phlebot.
up. I,
Yeah, no,
it,
that's a real thing.
phlebotomist?
its meaning might be somewhat more expansive.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying I don't know that word.
Well,
Like,
now you do, and
and
you're
like
never
it
gonna
honestly
forget.
sounds like you made it up, but you both are acting
It
like
would
you
be
know
too
it.
weird for me to. I couldn't make that up. If I
Either
made
it's
it
a
up,
real
it would be like
world
a
or we talked before the podcast about how we were going to trick you with
right.
this
That would
word
be
we
really
made up.
funny.
It-
In the real world. He's an exsanguinator.
I could see. I could have bought that.
I would never
The
come up with
exsanguinator.
phlebotomist.
The sanguinary. Yeah, I like it. That sounds cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary.
According to Wikipedia, phlebotomy is the process of making a puncture in a vein, usually in the arm, with a cannula for the purpose of drawing blood. So, voila, that
A
is indeed.
cannula?
Yeah,
That I don't know.
yeah. This is a cannula.
Okay.
I guess Claude can't see it.
It looks like the thing that you get like an IV port. It looks like an IV port.
Yeah, yeah. IV port thing. That
Anyway.
Okay.
that seems to
Okay.
be.
Well, thank you for joining us,
So
Dylan.
your
That's your word of the
term
day.
was 100% accurate, and phlebotomy is going to be a word that I use as often as possible going forward,
Good luck. I'm not.
Yeah,
as possible. Okay, we'll see.
yeah.
You
We'll
need a lucky
see.
handkerchief for that.
All
I
right.
yeah, I do feel like though it was interesting. He did know exactly. So one thing I want to say that was interesting about this scene is that I think this was the first time we saw the camera sort of take a picture of something that wasn't actually in its field of vision. So
No,
like there was no blood
not
bag
true.
that it took a picture of, right?
Not true.
We saw the hatch
Yeah, yeah.
picture.
The root
But
cellar
that's the place
hatch.
that okay, but okay, yes, so that is that. But I guess the other part of it is where is there a blood bag somewhere
You're
in
just saying there
town
is
that
no blood
Yeah,
bag.
yeah, yeah.
there
No,
yeah, and there's
yeah.
two levels. There's one level of
Okay.
it not being in its field of vision, and there's the blood bag is specifically like, was there a blood bag
Not in
somewhere?
anyone's field of vision.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he doesn't even make a blood bag. He makes a blood jar.
Yeah, which
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah,
why
good
show a
point.
blood bag versus some other way to show
Like a
blood?
blood
Why
jar.
not show the tube, the blood draw kit?
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. So yeah, actually, you just made me realize this is more the sort of the first obvious example where Elgin seems to understand the meaning of that thing when like,
Yeah.
you know, if Elgin's coming in with no information other than what we know, and you just see a blood
Yeah.
bag there, it is not obvious what that
No,
means.
Right.
it's
Right.
not.
So
Yeah, and in fact, when I watched this, and in hindsight, it's very obvious what the blood is for. But when we first watched this, I thought of the blood transfusion thing with Boyd in an earlier season when he had like the worms in his blood. Like that
Hmm.
was what I was thinking of. And if you just put your blood into an
there was
jar
probably a
like
blood
that,
bag at that point,
yeah.
for what it's worth.
Well, was it like a jar? I don't
Oh,
remember.
was it a jar?
But it wasn't like an open air jar like that. So it's like,
Okay.
just to your
Hmm.
point that he understands the purpose of this well enough that he doesn't feel that he has to put it in a
Yeah,
bag.
because exactly, it's not blood for a transfusion.
Right.
He understands that. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be sanitary or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that jar is so dirty.
yeah. But Fatima don't care.
Nope.
The dirtier the better.
It's just a little
I got
extra
a ghost
mineral.
baby to feed.
Mhm. And he used this to wash down some rot
So, but
anyway.
anyway, yeah. Anyway, that stood out to me just in terms of what the camera was showing because it seemed to
Yeah.
evolve into how what can come out of this camera because now it's just manufacturing images,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
aren't really real. So that was interesting. Yeah, he does the blood draw. He knows exactly. I just resent this. I guess I don't know. I just resent him being on a solo mission and not telling anybody about what's happening and not involving anyone. Unless we get a flashback and the ghost ladies, kimono lady says, don't
You have
tell
to not tell
anybody.
anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's important. I don't know why no one else is involved, especially when he has recently reconnected with like Julie. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? At least I feel like there's a character or two that he could at least tell about this, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it also reminds me of Sarah being on her own little private,
Mm,
I'm
that's
hearing
true.
messages about
Yeah.
how to get us home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he really seems convinced, and she did say, "I'll get you home" or whatever. So there is a
Hmm.
similar sort of promise in the background there, and maybe that's the only reason he's doing it. Like he believes, that I think
Yeah.
that's dubious,
And
but
he's like, oh, I got to do everything I can. There's no time to talk to somebody or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
I wanted to end with he does whatever she tells him to do. And, then he's like, okay, I did it. Now can we go home? And she's like, you are home. You live here.
No.
Wah,
took you
wah.
home. Ha ha, Elgin, got you.
You didn't ask me what home meant.
Oh boy. Let's
Next time, read
not.
the fine print when you make a deal with a ghost in a kimono.
Always read the fine print, kids.
Always. All right.
All right, so we'll move forward. We are going to come back to this. Obviously, I have a few more comments about Elgin, but I'll say it later. Um, okay, so Henry offers some advice to Jim at the bar. Maybe here's what he says. Maybe sometimes when you're with your wife, you should just shut the fuck up and listen.
It's such good
Yeah.
advice.
Maybe
It's
sometimes.
the
I
best
don't
advice
know.
he's ever gotten.
Give it a shot.
Such good
Who
advice.
knows?
Yeah.
Jim is initially offended, Henry explains that I used to be just like you, Jim,
Mm-hmm.
before, but it was a mistake. He also says that he didn't do it for his family, but because he was scared and it was for himself. Jim walks over and sits at a stool. Henry offers a drink. Jim refuses, saying his dad was drunk. He mentions the night that Julie was born. Comment about this incoming. He went to a bar and stared at some whiskey, making a vow to be a better father and husband. Henry pours some liquor, saying he's giving Jim the chance to renew his vows. And that's where we end. Okay, so my comments are as follows. I didn't really make the connection, but I think it makes sense to sort of have Henry be the one because there's this Miranda Tabitha parallel. I mean, we've already talked about it, so it makes sense that Henry would have been the Jim before, with Miranda seeing all this stuff and being like, "What are you're
Yeah.
losing it? Like, you need to like settle down and stop hating shit." I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever he said. Like, I think that was a logical connection to make. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, this is where I got excited when Jim brings up the night Julie was born. I was like, "Oh shit, that's where he lost the bracelet." That it was in that hospital when Julie was born when he lost the bracelet that ended up in the town. And that was the same bracelet that Henry had in his glove compartment. And I really thought Jim's going to bring up the bracelet. And then I thought Henry's going to bring, and I was like, great, we're going to get bracelet stuff. And then we
So
don't.
talk.
I was ready for bracelet talk.
Yeah, bracelet is on your list.
It is. It is. So anyway, this is where I thought we might get bracelet, but we don't. So
Interesting.
anyway, those are my comments.
I forgot about that. I wonder if there's any significance to that.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a weird thread that I just want some. I just feel like there needs to be a few more lines about it before I'm ready to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but maybe that's all it is evidence of this cyclical thing.
it could
You
be.
know.
It could be for sure.
Yeah.
But
But now this whole now what's interesting now that we're dealing with time travel,
yeah,
is there a way that is the actual bracelet?
it could actually be. Yeah, that possibility is in the realm of possibility now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That yeah, before there wasn't like specifically confirmed time travel. It definitely, I was pretty attentive to how time in the real world and time in the from world were pretty closely linked. It seemed like the
Yes.
same amounts of time were passing when people were leaving and coming back. People, Tabitha, that's the only one who left and came
Yeah.
back. Anyway, but also like the thing with Marielle, and Christy, like
Mm-hmm.
she perceived Christy as having been gone the same time that Christy perceived as passing in the front town.
Yeah.
So again, like, things would seem like they were, so I was just convinced, like, no, they're not doing a timey wimey thing with this show. They're avoiding that thing. And well, no, not
But
apparently
it's
not.
like a straightforward time travel thing that we saw.
No.
And one thing that is interesting is, and I know you'll probably both want to talk about this at length, when Julie
She said with dread.
when Julie and Ethan walk into the ruin, Ethan doesn't go with her. So
It's kind of selective, seemingly.
yeah, so like the bracelet, is an inanimate object presumably, but like it could have gone through something, and like the bracelet
Mm-hmm.
goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of got left behind somewhere. It got
And then it ends up in the glove compartment or it ends up in the diner or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of possibilities. The one in the hospital, like, time traveled, or the one in From Town time traveled. Like, there's
Well, listen, now we were talking about some
Time
lost.
traveling bracelets. Oh my god. Sorry,
We were
it
talking about some
sounded too
lost related
ridiculous.
some plot lines that are similar to Lost, and now I'm thinking, are we going to get a scene where Jim goes back in time to Tabitha's birth.
Ah,
Julie's
that's what I was
birth,
thinking. Yeah.
and he's the one who he finds the
Takes the
bracelet that he lost.
bracelet.
He's the one who picks it up, and and then he comes back to the from town to an earlier
Earlier
time
time.
period, and
Yeah.
then leaves it there or something like,
Yeah.
or I now I'm
Yeah.
It could
now I'm
happen.
worried.
So you're
Actually,
saying
I'm
we're
almost upset that the time travel's on the table.
so you're
Because now
saying
it
we're
just
gonna
gives
get a
another dimension
scene.
of things to worry about.
Yeah, Victor with Jim. Have I ever told you that you look just like my daddy?
Oh God, I hope so. Oh man, wouldn't that be great?
So you're saying, Henry, that that's what my hair is gonna look like? Kill me now. You know he's so
I was
vain about his
remarking how
hair.
Jim and Jade have like the same hair. I was like, yeah, you guys should be like
Yeah.
hair buddies.
The only difference is product. You know.
That's right. Uh, what were we talking about?
What were we talking about? We were talking
Well,
about a
sorry.
time
Did we
traveling
jump to this?
bracelet.
Did we jump to the? Did we? Are we on the scene with Julie and Ethan?
No.
No.
We're with
Oh, okay,
Henry
that's the
and
next.
Jim.
Okay.
We can move on if you're ready, but
Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
No,
I want to
I
say something
just
about
think
that.
okay.
But yeah, go
Good.
ahead.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a good scene.
All right. Yeah.
Yep.
I think we said our stuff. All right, Julie and Ethan. Here we go.
Here we go.
Julie and Ethan at the dungeon ruins. And just for the record, Claude, I'm calling it the dungeon because that's what the wiki called it.
Yeah.
Just so you
I
know,
think that's fair.
it's helpful
Yeah,
to
that makes
me
sense
to have
to me.
names for these places.
I mean, it looks like a
Yeah.
dungeon.
So anyway,
Yeah.
they arrive at the dungeon ruins. Julie explains that since she woke up, she's been hearing things, screaming specifically, and it won't stop. And that she felt the voices go quiet when she was there before with Randall. Ethan wonders if that's a good thing. Julie thinks that she should go in, but she's not sure, so she asks Ethan what to do, saying it sounds like Ethan's stories. Ethan says you're at a threshold, but the hero has to be brave and offers to go in with her. She agrees, and they walk in. Suddenly, Julie is in the dungeon, but Ethan is not there. We see his hand like disappear, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I love that
um,
shot.
Yeah.
she looks around, and we see the well that Boyd was in. I'm sure it's just a callback.
Chimney.
We certainly won't revisit that scene. Anyway,
No.
we hear screaming in the distance. It's Julie, Randall, and Marielle from season 2 when they were chained up to the wall / also back in the town. I don't know. I'm still confused about what was going on there. But anyway, that's what we see. She holds her ears and falls to her knees. Back outside, Ethan was still in the ruins, for the record. Julie is shaking on the ground. And so Ethan runs and yells for help. And obviously we'll pick up with that later. So there's actually, the time travel stuff hasn't happened yet. Sort of. Or has it? Maybe the screaming was time travel. I don't know. But anyway.
I mean, I think there's something. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think she was traveling through time this entire scene. I think when things are appearing and disappearing, it's she's moving
the different time periods.
Right, and in the sense that she walks in there and it is not a ruin anymore. You know, that
well, and so here's the big thing.
I'm confused about that, actually.
To me, the biggest thing is this: she did not go to another place physically. This was all in her head.
Yeah.
Even though we see the shot of her holding Ethan's hand and physically walking, it seems like her body transported and left Ethan behind. What actually happened was she went in her mind.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and she sort of collapsed, I guess, in the real world. And
so that shot we saw wasn't really it was really a subjective shot. It wasn't really objectively what happened.
Yeah.
Ethan didn't see his sister disappear.
Right. That's a good point.
So
it's like mental.
So it's all in her head, which is crazy. Now she's time. I guess they're aping Lost again. Jack Bender is now we have time travel where your consciousness is what's
time travel. Oh no! Don't be Desmond, Julie. Okay, fine.
Yes, Julie is the new Desmond. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Oh, yikes.
She needs to find her constant.
Please. I guess it might be Randall. I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to be saying here. These two lovebirds here. But yeah. So anyway, that was the big thing that stuck out to me. Was it would have been cool enough to just have her physically vanish, and Ethan stay behind. But actually, what they revealed was even more crazy than that, which is that her consciousness seemed to go somewhere else. But it's strange because like Boy did a similar thing. He turned the lantern on or whatever
Yeah.
the torch was, and he went somewhere else. But it seems like he physically went there.
Yeah,
So
I was
it's
thinking
an
about
interesting
watching that
thing. I don't
again
know.
to see how they
Yeah.
portrayed it. Like, do they make it objectively clear from the outside that he like disappeared, or was he actually like passed out on the
Was he?
ground
It
like
was just still in
Julie?
his mind, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, which I feel like is possible, but especially because, you know, they were there, right, as screamers, you know,
yeah,
and but they weren't there. They were also back in the, you know, houses and
yeah.
stuff. So like it does seem like it's a mind place, and yet at the same time,
It
boy,
is a mind place, but it's a mind place that has physical reality, right?
yeah,
Because Boyd, I think, went through the
and
tree
ended
and
up
he
there.
physically moved there.
Yeah.
So his physical body is there. I think she
Uh,
mentally time traveled, but your
uh,
mental apparition has the ability to interact with the physical world, and
yeah,
which was when she threw the rope down.
yeah,
And so that's a whole other level of what's happening in this place. Like that's a
it
whole
is.
other crazy level.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there
Because now we're
is.
talking, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warrior. Now we're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, maybe we can fight them with our minds or
Oh man,
something.
is she a dream
Like,
warrior?
she looks like a Dream Warrior to me.
Totally. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
She
Um,
just like gets a bunch of weed and gets really high, and then she can
yeah.
like go into her mind and like
Yeah.
knock out the monsters with
Kick
their
some
telepathy
monster
power.
ass.
Kick
Yeah.
some monster ass. If you don't mind.
Oh.
Oh, with the pun. Nice. Um,
All right.
all right. Is that good? All right. So obviously we're coming back. So if you got more Julie, there'll be time. All right. Tabitha asks Victor where he heard Jasper talk. He knows it was a basement, but not which one. After Victor starts to get frustrated and have another Victor freak out, Sarah changes the subject to the weather on that day. And this helps Victor
Mm-hmm.
remember that he was playing hide and seek with Eloise that day and he could never find her. He could never find her. Sorry, I just have to emphasize that. Okay, so he finally realizes that he looked in the church, um, and he never looked there because it scared Eloise. And in the basement of the church is where he saw Jasper talking to Christopher. Anyway, that's the reveal that we will of course pick up with later when we get our big monologue that I will read verbatim, so you can look forward to that, everyone. um but yeah, any comments about this bit here?
Yeah, so many comments.
Go for it.
He could never. You never. She'd even let you win one time because you were so bad at hide and seek that she felt bad for you, and she let you win.
No, she was mean.
She's like,
Wow.
she sat there for hours
Yep.
as she searched the entire
Yep.
town.
Yep.
And she just giggled at
Yep.
how she was torturing her brother
Yep.
as he searched every nook and cranny of every building in a monster-filled nightmare.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I that was a weird line.
That's what happened.
I think that you need some different childhood games if you live in a place like this. When you spend
How about
all night hiding
Stapler
from
always be
monsters.
visible? That's the game y'all play. If I'm a parent here,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's the game y'all are playing. Is stay put, be visible all the time.
Yeah, it's like you spend all night hiding from things that will kill you, and then you wake up. You know what would be fun? Let's hide from each other.
Exactly. that won't bring up any related
Yeah, that's
trauma.
a good point. That was the time period before the talisman. So like, yeah, hiding was like fraud at that
Hmm.
time, and
Which I'll give them. I'll give them a point in the column that in that context it makes sense that they're playing hide and seek all the time
It's like
because
training.
they would be hiding and seeking all the
you could
time.
look at it that
They would be,
way. It's actually good to
yeah,
play.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So because they're learning and knowing all the
Yeah, it's
places,
like how
right?
when animals play, they're like practicing the hunt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so my thought about that was like in a completely different direction, which is another thing I feel like I should add to the list, so I don't quite know how to phrase it. But I do feel like there's like some unanswered questions about Eloise,
Definitely.
and this line like made me think like, oh my God, could she still be hiding somewhere? Like like
I would not. I
have
would
you
not. Yeah.
confirmed that she's dead? He said
Oh my
he said he
god.
found his mother's body, but he never
Yeah,
specifically said that he found his sister's body. So I'm just
yeah.
like, could there be some crazy reveal? She's like Rousseauing out there, like hiding from them this whole
Still
time,
hiding.
or could she be
Victor,
the cabin
wow. You'll
thumper?
never find me.
I'm just throwing it out there, like I just feel
Thump,
like there's
thump, it's
something.
me, Eloise.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. There.
First of all, this is exactly the type of 40 thinking that is appropriate for this show. I think that's the right track. I think I think there are some the fact that she's this unanswered question. I think it's almost like the show doth protest too much about her. Like
Yeah.
the fact that they've said so little is like drawing attention to her.
Yes.
And we've already started this path of talking about Victor's family and reuniting him and reliving how they're
Memories.
related to this place and
Yeah.
their whole past. So it makes sense that we get what her story is. We got some of the mom story, we got the dad story.
Yep.
Now it makes sense that we get what her story was.
Yeah.
I definitely want her to be tied into whatever's happening with Tabitha and all that stuff. But yeah, the idea that she's hiding out there somewhere, I mean, yeah, maybe there's a weird timey-wimey thing where
Mm.
she shows up and she's still the same age, and
Yeah,
for
yeah,
her
yeah.
it's only been a little bit of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or she's
Uh,
stuck in the lighthouse.
You couldn't find me again, Victor. Oh shit, Victor, you're
yeah,
old.
Victor, you're old. Dad, you're older than you were
Damn.
last time I saw you.
Yeah.
Where's mom?
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 I don't know. It is like a
Yeah.
crackpot theory, but I just feel like there's more to say there. And so even if it's not that,
Yeah.
it's just I feel like there's something missing here. And now that we got our rope answer, it almost gives me hope that when I catch these things that are like gaps in the story, like maybe they actually
Mm-hmm.
do realize these are gaps and they will tell us
Yeah.
something. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
I,
holding out
I
hope.
also want to point out that Julie got to go to the dungeon just by walking through the area, but Boyd had to turn the lantern on.
Right.
So why a difference?
Because reasons, yeah, no, I have no idea. I mean, the place works out once, and Julie's experience was different because it did seem like Boyd, when he went there, was going there in quote unquote the present, which is to say it was dealing with something that was happening right at that moment. Whereas Julie seems to be going in this time travel odyssey. So maybe it is different. Maybe the way she's entering it is different, and so that's why it's working differently. I don't know. That's best I got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so crazy.
More scenes, anyone?
Did not expect that.
Nor did I. So yeah, are you
I'm
good
ready.
to move? Okay.
Yep.
So let's see, blah blah blah. Okay. So Kenny, oh god. Kenny and Acopsta question some red shirts at
Oh,
Colony House.
I hate this plot, and I'm so sick of it. And I just want it to go
I
Mm-hmm.
away.
hate this plot too, but here we go. Who throw the blame on Sarah. The red shirt mentions that Sarah killed Kenny's dad, so he shouldn't be defending her. And Akopsta takes this in. There will be some lines about this later, and I'm gonna have to complain about them. Any further comments other than this is annoying?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really think they should have had different people they were talking to instead of these red shirts. It should have been some people that we had seen before that were a little bit more friendly.
Yeah.
I think the plot is tedious because the audience already knows the answer.
Yeah.
This is a mystery that's already solved,
Yeah.
and it's not helpful, I think, to have these like hostile red shirts. Yeah, I
Definitely not.
didn't like how that scene went.
No.
Yeah.
No. Thumbs down. All right. So Ellis and Boyd argue about what to do. Ellis wants to tell the truth. He's still on that. God, Ellis, you and your truth telling. Boyd is worried about the threat of Fatima with Ellis as they hide in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Donna storms in, interrupting, and Boyd decides to tell her the truth. And we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where we get at this point. So yeah, more business with that. Are you good to go from
Yep.
here? Okay. So Copsta asks Kenny about Sarah, saying, "You didn't think it was worth mentioning the girl that already murdered 2 people?" All right, that's what I'm going to complain about soon. Kenny thinks she's different now, and Boyd trusts her, but Akopsta is not convinced. This line of thinking is interrupted by Ethan screaming, and they follow him to Julie, and we'll pick up with that. Okay, here's my complaint. Let me tell you, and they're saying that Sarah killed Kenny's dad. I mean, that's technically not true. She just left the door open. The monsters are the ones that did it. But
Yep.
so here's the funny thing. If you look at the murders that Sarah did personally, it was Toby, the guy that came with Jade, and
Mm.
her brother Nathan, which was an accident,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to count that as a murder, she did those 2 personally. The
Mm-hmm.
Kenny's dad and like some like nurse type character who was working at the infirmary was also killed when the monsters
Oh
came
yeah.
in there. So that's 4 people whose death she has responsibility for. And I'm just like, two? What the fuck are you
She's saying
talking
the 2
about?
she's heard about. It's actually 4. It's
But
actually
Kenny
well.
knows about
There's
more than that. Oh,
yeah.
she's saying like Kenny's dad
Yeah.
and Tilly. That's what she's saying.
No. Isn't the line who's already killed 2 people?
Oh, already murdered 2 people. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
it can't be
So
Tilly.
I feel like she has heard about Kenny's dad and about her own brother, but no one has mentioned
Toby or
Toby or that
the nurse
nurse.
character. Okay. Okay.
Mm.
No one
And it
remembers saying
doesn't
that.
make sense in that scene. It doesn't benefit Kenny to be like, well,
To be
actually,
actually, it's more. Yeah. Actually, you're undercounting.
I just thought it was weird to give her a specific number and it's wrong.
yeah.
Because I'm just like, why? Like, did they forget? Or are we supposed to infer that like there's a cover up about how many people Sarah killed?
You
Like,
a strongly worded letter.
I don't know. These are the kind of things that bug me. So I just have to bring them
Gotcha.
up. All right. Anyway, I don't need to say any more about that if you're ready to move forward.
I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm bad. I'm bad. All right. Julie is still hearing the screaming in the dungeon. Suddenly it stops. We hear and then see Martin, the old Martin,
Good
talking to.
old Marty.
Did we think we were gonna see Marty again? We
I
did
did
not.
not.
But Marty is I'm just gonna call him Marty now. Marty's talking to Boyd at the bottom of the well. We remember that from the beginning of season 2, which was, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe. Um, Martin tells Julie, calling her by name, by the way. He knows who it is
Mm-hmm.
instantly. This is a good
Yeah.
example of like seemingly supernatural information spreading.
Yeah.
He tells Julie that Boyd needs the rope, so she throws the rope down. Martin thanks Julie but tells her to leave. It isn't safe. Then when Julie turns around, he's gone. She leaves the room and suddenly she's in the tunnels. overhearing Tabitha and Victor when they were down there the first time. That was from the house collapse, the incident where Tabitha kind of goes through the bottom, and then Victor's down there from the attack on
Oh
Colony
yeah.
House. It's a whole tapestry. But anyway, the two of them were down there. Julie calls to Tabitha and walks forward, because that's her mother, by the way, and walks forward cautiously. Her lighter won't work. And then she hears on cooey, and then screaming. At the same time, we cut to Kenny and Akopsta carrying Julie out of the Dungeon Ruins area. Then we go back to Julie. She turns and is about to maybe see something. It felt like there was like something there that she doesn't quite see. I don't know for sure, but that's how the shot looked to me. But then she comes out of the trance and wakes up in the woods, and she hugs Ethan, and that's I think, yeah, that's it for Julie this episode. It's enough though.
It's plenty.
So yeah, so a couple of things. This reminded me of the scene with Jim and Henry with the bracelet thing, where I'm like, yes, Martin's back. Let's get some answers. What the fuck is your
Yeah.
deal, Martin? Who is this
Yeah.
thing? What do you mean it isn't safe? What are you talking about? Who? What? Why? Where? Explain.
Yeah.
Say things. And we
Yeah.
get nothing. We get nothing
Well,
except an
and it's
explanation
like,
for the rope.
yeah, and it's like, are we under the same threat we were under before when the before the music box was broken, or is that over now? Like, I don't understand.
I have
Like,
no idea. It seems like it should be, because he said something similar to Boyd, like, you got to get out of here, before that music
yeah,
stops, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it was from the time, but I don't know. How can I tell? I don't know what's
yeah. I guess
happening.
yeah. So, what are you guys thinking? How does he know Julie? Because if he knows Julie, then he knows that's Boyd, right? I mean, it makes no like,
He
why
he know
wouldn't he
he knows
know?
Boyd. He actually mentions Boyd's wife, Abby, as well when they're
Oh, that's right. He
talking.
did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he's like the monsters. He's just like plugged into that from like
Yeah,
server or
database.
whatever,
Yeah.
that's just got all this information about the people and who they are and what their names are, and presumably even their relationships and all sorts of shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. That's what it looks like to me. So I just assume he's, yeah, but like beyond that, who the fuck is this guy? Why you got the worms, Martin? Why you
Mm-hmm.
spreading the worms? Who is the thing with the, like, the
And
stop? Sorry, go ahead. I'm just gonna rant
I was
forever
saying,
if you don't stop me.
and he's chained up, like the three were chained up, but he's not, screaming in terror,
Yeah, it's different. He's
So it's
conscious
a
too.
different, yeah. And it makes me think now, I guess, retroactively, when Boyd was there and he climbs up the rope and he talks to Martin, and doesn't Martin disappear, right? It, or does
That's,
Boyd just vanish from the
I
place?
don't
I
think
can't remember how
so.
that scene is.
I think Martin's not there when he goes back, but I think he was still there when Boyd leaves after he cuts him. And your blood is my blood now. I think Boyd leaves at that point. I think Martin was still there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'd
I have
have
to
to
go back and
review.
watch how they
Yeah,
depict that. But
yeah, I could be wrong
wow,
about that.
yeah, this whole thing, and yeah, I took the end of this scene when Julie sort of kind of turns around, she jumps like something's behind her, and then she wakes up in the real world. I took that as like that was just the crossover between her waking up, like she was feeling them grabbing her in the real world, and that's why she
Oh.
kind of turned around. Like,
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like that was her
okay,
waking up to the real world.
okay, okay. It could be
You
true.
know, they snapped her out of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But craziness, the Ankui kids, like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. The connection of, so, like, another thing that's interesting about this to me is that there is obviously a connection between these ruins that they go into and this dungeon place, because they have established that before, right? It's the same
it's
place.
the
It's a
same
place
place.
back in time. Like, I don't. it's underground. I'm confused about exactly
I don't
what
think
it
it's
is.
underground anymore. I thought it was underground. I think when you see them in the place, those arches are the
You
arches
think
of
those
the
are the
ruin.
arches? Okay.
Yes, it's not underground. It's
Okay.
the place. It's just that the ceiling and the rest of the walls are gone from this
Okay.
place. But I
Okay.
think that, and, because I think the other part of that is when Ethan and Julie were walking, right? She didn't like her body didn't sink down deeper, right, from the ground. She was walking on the ruins. Like she walked flat, level, and was on the same floor as the ruins. So, or as the
Yeah.
dungeon. So I think it's the yeah. It made sense to me when they made that shot, like what that place is now.
Okay. Okay. I'm happy to accept that. But the thing I wanted to say is just that she ends up going to the tunnels,
Yeah.
which is a totally separate place,
Yep.
from the dungeon, as far as we know, right? They haven't told us before that there's a connection between the tunnels and this dungeon area.
Yeah.
So, is there a connection that we don't know about, or was she just like
No,
transported
she
there?
transported. No, you can tell she transported because she turns around and the door is gone. The door to the
Yeah.
dungeon
Okay.
is gone, and she's
Okay.
just in the tunnels now. So it just was a doorway she walked through,
But
like the bottle tree.
But
I
why
I
does the
guess
vision show
I
that?
guess what I'm trying to say is, like, is there some, like, almost a faraway tree type thing where there's like a connection where if you walk through this
I
place, you go to the
The thing is,
tunnels?
I would say yes, but this is in her mind. She's mind traveling, so I don't think like it's not really accessible to other people. I think what's happening with her. You know what I mean? I don't think she's physically doing it.
Okay.
I think this is like a mental projection of her going
Yeah.
through these places, which is why she's can go through time and go through space like
Sure.
that. Yeah, that's how it's coming
Sure.
across to me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm happy to buy that. It's just weird. That's all I'm saying. But
Because
the
the
other
question
thing,
is what's guiding her, right?
yeah, totally, totally. It's a huge open question, and it just felt incomplete to me. And I guess that's the other reason why I was reading that ending shot differently. Um, but maybe it is complete. Maybe this is all she needs. I don't know. But the other thing I was gonna say is, the Ankui kids,
Mm,
their connection with the tunnels, possibly a connection with the monsters.
yeah.
There were there was the one that was like behind a cage down there in the tunnels that Victor and Tabitha saw, you know.
I feel like
Um,
that's your cabin.
and
Yeah.
yes, I'm afraid it is. I just and also the altars that Jade saw, and of course we get Victor talking about that quite specifically later
Mm-hmm.
on in
Mm-hmm.
his big monologue. So anyway, like, I'm starting to believe that there is some, like, sensible lore here that's building about the
Yeah.
Ankui kids. I
Yeah.
think that the part that hasn't added up for me yet is they're trapped in the tower. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand where that came from. There's nothing in what Victor says that suggests that. There's nothing in anything
It's
we've
gonna
seen that
be
suggests that.
one of the monsters is gonna say the tower was a metaphor.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Just leave it
I
at
mean,
Oh
that.
after
boy.
this thing with Jasper, where it's like, oh, it wasn't Jasper, like, there's definitely room for, like, oh, we
Yeah.
said we were trapped in a tower, but it was really this other thing. Like, it's totally
Well, I just
possible.
want to say for the record that I have famously always believed that the kids were very important to the show, and that everything was going to eventually coalesce around the Ankui kids, and that they were not just one-off random things about something that happened in the past that doesn't really matter.
Good. Well, noted. Um,
Thank you.
I'm sure the transcripts will back you up. Um,
I really want to make
Transcripts
a
can be
word out
fake.
of that, like Kuangi or Gyeongku, or I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I feel like there's some word,
like an
like Ankui
anagram.
isn't a word, so it's like, why do they keep
Yeah.
saying this? I don't know. I'm obsessed with that because it's so weird and I have
Yeah, this
no
like
explanation.
there's this like sort of fairy tale idea that when people are locked away, it's in a tower. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that leaves room for like, oh well, I must have, like I don't know, thematically there's that whole thing with the Chromonocle when they first arrive of like, oh well, this must be like this because in the Chromonocle this, like
Mm-hmm.
these stories that are told about yeah.
You reminded me of something. In that scene with Julie and Ethan, I thought she was going to bring up the Chromonocle specifically, and I do think she was alluding to it, but I thought
Yeah.
it was weird they didn't say it. I'm like, did you lose the rights to the Chromonocle? Like, why wouldn't you say it? I don't know. That was weird to
Yeah,
me.
I did too.
Minor point.
Hmm.
But also another thought of horror that I just had is like, could Aunt Cooey be like Hodor?
Oh
Like some
God.
weird shit like that, where it's like, Dong kill me or something, you know?
Yeah.
Please
Like,
don't kill me.
like they
No.
morph it into some word that makes sense, you know? I don't know.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
there could be some horse shit like that.
No, I'm throwing it out there because like that's a possibility. Anyway.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Okay.
Further
Yeah.
comments about Julie
No,
before we move on?
Nope.
I
Okay.
no.
All right. So Donna thinks that Boyd needs to bring Fatima back. She's worried that the townspeople um, won't understand since they've had enough with Boyd after Sarah. Um, Ellis wants to take credit for the murder, but
Blame
Donna's
is the word.
what?
Blame.
Blame. Yeah, fair enough. Donna is worried about what's going on with Fatima and the threat. Boyd says that they can stay with him. So like here's like plan number 5. Like, hey, y'all just stay
Yeah.
with me. It'll be
Just stay
fine.
with me. Everything's
Don't worry
good.
about it. Yeah. Um, and then Donna says that if Boyd won't tell everyone, then she will, and walks out on that note. Boyd goes to get supplies for Ellis for Fatima. For Ellis and
Yeah.
Fatima is what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're basically the new plan is they're just gonna go like camp
Yeah.
in the woods. The
It's
plan number
odd.
6 that won't happen.
It's odd that she's about to deliver this baby, because it is literally what you would do when you're, got to deliver a baby is, plan the place you're going to do it and have the supplies you need for it. So this whole,
Yep.
it's, so when they went to little cabin, it is like a little, home birth setup,
Yeah, yeah.
with their supplies and stuff. But now Elgin has a different plan
Yep.
and he takes her to a little nicer spot. At least it has a whole bed in
It
there.
does have a bed. That's
Uh,
true.
Not so
y- you
drafty.
know, it is. Yeah, I guess we'll get to the scene, but yeah, not so drafty. But yeah, this whole baby thing is crazy. Uh, but just how they're setting it up is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I mean that was mostly functional. Obviously, we will come back to that general plot line. Are you ready for the next scene? It's a doozy.
I'm ready for a doozy.
Okay. Get
Let's
ready for a
do
doozy.
it.
Okay, we're about to dooz it. So Victor, Tabitha, and Sarah go in the basement of the church, and we see a flashback as Victor tells his story. And I'm gonna read the whole thing because this is probably the biggest reveal we've had in the show so far. I'm just gonna say it. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
here we go. Here's what Victor says. It was in the basement. It happened in the basement. When I opened the door, I heard voices, so I was quiet and I wanted to get closer. When I got to the bottom of the stairs, Jasper was telling secrets. Christopher got angry. Then he says, no, 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 that's not right. It wasn't Jasper. It was the boy in white. He was the one that was down there. He was the one who was telling secrets to Christopher. He said, the answers to the end are at the beginning, that it started with the children, what the others did to them. What others? What others, Victor? Um, the people they loved, the people they trusted. He said the children were born in the dark. And then And then, sorry, I'm just putting a pin in that. And then they were murdered in the dark. Okay, but but sorry, but someone who loved them told them a story. The story the story gave them hope. And when the
Oh
children,
no.
yeah, I know. And when the children laid on the stones, they poured their hope into the roots that made the
Mm-mm-mm.
symbol, and
Mm-mm-mm.
these roots became the tree, the
Mm.
faraway tree. The boy in white was trying to tell Christopher that to save the children, he would have to go through the tree, but he wouldn't listen. He got angry. He said, "You're a liar. Everything lies here." Christopher wouldn't listen. So I, what? Christopher wouldn't go to the tree. So I told my mother what the boy in white said, and that's why she left us. And that's where that monologue of shit ends.
Woo.
Oh my god, that's a lot to take in. I couldn't begin to summarize that properly, so I just felt like I had to read it, and you can make of it what you will. At least I'm not adding any interpretation. That is what he said.
Yeah. I'm upset about some things here.
Do tell.
It's a little upsetting. I mean, it's really strange that the story takes a whole left turn, and we're sitting up here waiting for a ventriloquist doll to tell us a story. And they're like, no, silly, that can't happen. It was a ghost of a boy in white that actually has the information you're looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Silly
yeah,
viewers. And you're like,
yeah.
okay. And then, like, all the details of this story were crazy. They just wrapped up all of these things together. The stuff with the kids, the stuff with the stones, the stuff with Jade, the stuff with the symbol are all wrapped up
Faraway
in
tree.
one, like, mythology, the faraway tree. And then we introduce people, so there's some others. The others that love them, whatever that means.
Yep.
There's this guy, or sorry, whatever he said, who told the story and
Someone who
gave them
loved
hope.
them told them a story. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we have to unpack the whole hope aspect because that's a whole
That's
part of the
clearly a
show
thing.
about
Yep,
what's happening here.
definitely.
And but yeah, that's crazy. I still don't understand why going through the tree saves the children when the children were underneath the roots of the tree you're supposed to be going through. You know, that's odd. And then the other part, the part that really upset me, in because I got to hear it when you retold it, was like when he says, "I told my mother what the boy in white said, and that's why she left us." So it wasn't that she had an LSD trip that opened her mind, or did had some connection to the place, and she started getting these images, and then she started making these paintings, and then she takes the kids for a drive, and then she comes to the from world, and then here's and then you know from her experience before goes, oh, I'm here to save the children. It's like she didn't even think that there were children to save, right? Until Victor tells her this story.
Well,
Is that how you guys took it?
so like I think that's partially true, but I will say that she did paint the Ankui kids. So I do think she had a bit so like maybe it's just as simple
Mm-hmm.
as she was ready to believe Victor because of
Yeah.
the visions that she had,
Yeah.
like she was able to accept it quickly and like act on it. Uh
Yeah.
but
I guess. Yeah, I
but
was gonna say. I guess what I mean is like I thought she was more like Tabitha, where the Ankui kids were coming to her,
I did
and she was
too.
like, or whatever. That it's like, oh, okay, I have to save these kids. But it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, she only thought that because Victor told her. The boy in white said, "That's how we
Yeah.
get out of here," or
It
whatever.
sounds like they didn't come to Christopher either. It's Boy in White telling him this, right? I
Yeah.
don't I there's nothing in the story that says Christopher was seeing the Ankui
No.
kids. So
Yeah.
he's just getting all this information from the boy in white. There's these
Telling
kids
secrets. Oh,
and
he's
blah,
down here telling
telling
secrets.
secrets. That's right. That's
It's
right.
crazy, yeah. So Tabitha's seeing both the boy in white and the kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and Jade has seen the kids as well. Obviously, I mean, multiple
Mhm.
people have seen the boy in white. You know, Boyd and Sarah saw him when they were out there, and Ethan saw him, obviously. So anyway, yeah, the boy in white as
Yeah,
significant character is obviously a big question mark going forward, and this reveal is only deepening that
yeah.
connection. But let me just complain for a second, because this is a
Please.
podcast and that's what I like to do on a podcast. So, like, this thing, like, I'm fine with the reveal. Like, the reveal is what it is. I can live with it. It isn't exactly what I expected, but that's okay with me. I can hang with this. We can talk about the implications, but the thing that's bothering me is I feel like this Jasper thing was jerking us around. Like, it feels like that was a way
Yeah.
to like have busy work until they could actually get to the point here. And it's like they have this whole like,
Almost like we were their puppets.
Hey. Yeah.
damn it.
I do feel like I feel like it's like a hilarious joke. They were sitting around waiting for this puppet to tell us the secrets of this place.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because it's dumb, but
It
it could have happened,
it
but
does
apparently
seem,
not.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I was ready for it. I was like, okay. I mean, it's not like there hasn't been crazier stuff happening.
Yeah,
I'm like, why not? An
and
animated ventriloquist. Sure, I'm on board. I
and
don't know.
the other part I think that makes this feel a little odd the way it lands is the fact that again, not only was the doll the part of a red herring, but it wasn't even about an external person or data point giving Victor what he needed. It was really just about Victor needing to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
actually had all the information in him the whole time. So
yeah,
all of it was a waste of time.
yeah. That's what was
which I
bothering
did
me.
anticipate that as well because it just seemed like a really like a likely outcome that what would really
Mm-hmm.
happen is that it would jog his memory. But it is really notable in the way that it unfolds that like Sarah could have just gotten this information out of you.
Yeah, they could have just
Yes.
cut to that right
If he had but
away.
if he had believed that he was able to recall it
Mm-hmm.
without Jasper.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he
Mm-hmm.
got sidetracked. He goes there and he's like, "Oh yeah, I heard Jasper," and like that was wrong. And
And
then
we did
and then he's like, "Hey
wonder.
Sarah, let's go find Jasper." And then they
Mm-hmm.
wander around, and then he finds
And it's
Henry,
like,
so they gets distracted, and then he goes to the
can
cat.
you imagine? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going on and on about how I feel like they jerked us around. But go ahead.
I was just saying, can you imagine the monsters and the people, whatever the villains, going, look at Victor. He's risking his life going in the cave for
Yeah,
Jasper.
yeah.
They're just laughing their asses off. So
Yeah.
when they show up in the tunnels, like you came here for that dummy, like you're the
Yeah.
dummy, like it's like why would the monsters let him have something that might be key to their victory?
Yeah.
Because this isn't
It
it.
wasn't. Yeah.
It's just interesting that I feel like we haven't seen that before so obvious in their how they write the show.
Yeah.
So it's something we have to look out for now, these like curveball red herring things that are like
Definitely.
really not gonna pan out.
They're built up and
Um
then yeah, like uh shoved to the side like right, very quickly, and we just kind
mhm.
of move forward with this other stuff.
I mean, and Christopher's sitting there, he's getting visions of the symbol or whatever.
Mhm.
The boy in white is coming and telling him secrets. By the way, why can't the boy in white tell everybody the secrets?
Fucking A. I'm so mad at Boy in White. I can't even. My rage will not be contained. I,
Like,
I,
like if the children are so important to be saved, how
yeah.
come only like 3 people have ever been told
Do
that they
something,
need to
boy.
go through the tree
He can
to
show
go
up
save the children?
anytime he wants. Anytime he wants. He's showed up just casually many times, and he hasn't said
Yeah.
shit about this to anyone. Like, fucking do something, boy.
There were like 5 H's in that shit.
I'm sorry. The boy in white just bugs me because, like, yeah, he's like this
Yeah,
mystical character who's got all these answers,
yeah,
but it's like he's not doing nothing. He's like
yeah,
Jacob, you know.
yeah,
It's like do something.
yes,
What
What
are you
if
doing?
what if
yeah.
he really doesn't have any answers?
I mean, he said all this shit. I mean,
He
this
said
is
He at
he
least
said those
I mean, he
things,
might not have
but
answers, but he at least thinks that there's some importance to telling certain people that they need to go through the tree for some reason.
yeah,
And so that seems to be important, but like, why? Because this is decades. This is decades of him either his plan working or his plan failing. I don't know.
yeah.
Like,
I
this is a
can't
long
tell.
time,
yeah.
seemingly, for him to just be like doing the bare minimum, which was what made me think those kids are nowhere to be saved unless we're talking about a time travel thing. Like those kids should be a thing in the past that it was the reason this place started. Now, okay, can we get into that?
Yes.
Because that's a whole other box of worms.
Yeah.
Not a
Please.
can. I liked my worms
It's
in
a
boxes.
box. It's a box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open the worm box. Come on.
So yeah, I mean, the kids were born in the dark. What?
This is the closest thing we get to an origin story, seemingly for at least something. It's not
Yeah.
clear if it's an origin of from in general or it's just like the origin of the faraway tree. Like, I'm not really sure exactly how much this explains the symbol, blah blah blah, but it's definitely an origin story of something. And in terms of they were born in the dark. I mean, that's why I mentioned the cave kid behind the cage, you know, that it made. And then
Uh.
also Fatima, and the fact that she's going into this like cavernous area to give birth, it made me
Yeah.
think like, oh, maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a connection there, you know, with these kids being born in the dark. Like, or maybe they were just born in the dark because they were hiding from the monsters, or maybe they were born in the dark because they were the monsters. Like, I'm not really sure what we're supposed to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But they were also murdered in the dark. But someone who loved them told them a story. This is so weird. I don't know how to make anything of this. It's very confusing.
Yeah. So,
Like,
I mean, at the basic level, the story seems to be that a group of people, presumably the parents of these children,
yeah,
sacrificed the children.
that's what it
I
sounds
guess
like.
had them in the caves
Yep,
or in some underground place, born in the dark, but then murdered them for some reason.
yep.
But okay, that's already crazy. But then the next beat is that, but someone who loved them told them a story. So this is after they're dead. Someone tells them a story, right?
That
They're dead
is
now.
the grammar suggests that they were dead at that time. Yeah.
But so now the dead kids are told a story that gives them hope and makes this tree. And if you go to the tree, you can save them. But save them how? Because are they now not dead? Aren't they dead?
It does
They were
seem like
murdered.
they were dead. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. Well, that's the
So now, okay, you could. Sorry, I was just gonna say you could say now what by saving them it means their spirit or something, not
releasing
that
them or
can't not
something.
preventing them. Well, now that we're talking about time travel, maybe you can go stop them from dying. But at the
True.
very least, it could be releasing their trapped spirit or something.
Yeah. But it is notable that the tower is not mentioned here. I know I said that earlier, but I just want to add it for
Yeah.
emphasis because that was an essential part of the story before, and there's like not a word about it here. And just to add to that, and my own annoyance, I felt like there was something really fishy about how when Tabitha tells her story at the town hall, everyone becomes obsessed
Mm-hmm.
with going through the tree, right? And then Dale goes through the tree and ends up in the swimming pool, and it's like, and there is a line where Kenny cuts in and is like, it wasn't the tree that let her leave, right? She was pushed out of a tower. He phrased it passively so they could not mention the boy in white,
Yeah.
but like, so they sort of tacit, like they vaguely acknowledged that it wasn't the tree, but there was a weird fixation on the tree, and it almost feels like they're trying to
Yeah.
reframe the tree as the central part of it, even though the way we saw it before, it was more like the tree was just a way to get to the tower. Right, that's how it
Yeah.
came off. Like you just go through here, and this will take you to the tower, and that's what Victor says
Mhm.
that Miranda said, right? And it's like, no, but you told her. So like, where's the tower shit coming from?
Yeah, it is interesting too because you would think if the kids are in the dark in the cave on the altars or whatever, then going through the tree would take you to them there,
Yeah, exactly.
not take you to a
The
tower
lighthouse thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or
like
the light.
it doesn't add up. And and if this came from Victor, then why isn't that stuff mentioned that was like so central to that lore? Like before, like so I don't know. Some either they fucked up or there's something coming that I'm missing
Mhm.
here. But it just
Well, I would also just throw in, as Christopher says, everything lies here. So
Yeah.
maybe the boy in white
yeah.
isn't to be trusted.
I'm not
He's
convinced
got
that
his
the
own
boy in white's to
agenda.
be trusted.
Oh, he has done dubious things.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just bring up another thing he did, which is he told, and it then might tie in with this episode. He told Boyd to go in a particular faraway tree, and that's the one that ended him up at the bottom of that well, where Julie sees,
Mm-hmm.
Julie interacts with that scene in this episode, and that made me wonder if there was like, for the first time, I'm like, oh, maybe that was like part of the plan. Maybe Boyd's going down into that well was somehow an essential part of the Boy in White's like ridiculous plan, like whatever it might be.
To
It's
get the worms for the worms to come back to
to
town
release the worms. I don't know why he would want to do
for
that,
for
but
the locusts to then come to town for the three to
yeah,
be taken.
maybe.
I mean
Yeah,
that was the whole chain of events.
exactly. That
Um,
indeed, and that's part of why I don't trust Boy and White, because it's like, what good did that do exactly? Now, again, I'm holding a space for the idea that someday they tell us that there is a reason, and we just don't know enough information
mhm.
to guess what it is yet, and it'll kind of make sense. But right now, it looks like you led him into a place where he could have died, and even though he was rescued, like it doesn't seem like the rescue was your doing, and it seems like the consequences of Boyd being there were all bad. So anyway, I'm just I'm real skeptical of the Boyd White.
I think it's right to be skeptical. It's tough to know if he, how does he even know what he knows or whatever. It's when you're ever
Yep.
dealing with these kind of entities. It's like, what newspaper did you get in the morning? Like, how do you know this stuff? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
uh, so it's tough to know if he's like, well, all I know is that where the tree's gonna take him where he needs to go. I don't know where that's gonna be, but I trust the
Yeah.
tree, or I trust whatever, or my instinct, or whatever.
Sure, sure,
So it could
sure.
be like it's still but benevolent, even but he's just sort of taking risks that he's comfortable with. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it could
it's.
be.
I think there has to be at least one trickster entity, right? Doesn't there have to be at least one thing we think we can trust and it turns out not to be?
I feel like, yeah, that could absolutely happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then we got to deal with the kimono
It
lady.
might be Kimono Lady, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm convinced I can trust her at
I
all,
don't
but
find either of them trustworthy.
yeah,
But
No.
I
then
don't.
I do think, feel like I would be expressing the sentiment that Randall expresses earlier of like nothing here is trying to help us if I were really there. But because I'm watching this
Mm-hmm.
on a TV show, I do think something in there is trying to help them.
Yeah, well,
Because otherwise, how do you resolve any of this?
I gotta bring up the talismans, like, because those are helpful, right? Like,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
isn't that something there that's helpful? I don't know, just saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, somebody sent them food as well.
yeah, and like the faraway trees are not necessarily, they are dangerous. Obviously, they've proven that, but they have been helpful in the past in multiple ways. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, just to say,
So
there's
so so hey, look on the bright side. You can trust some rocks with some carvings, and you can trust some trees.
there you go.
I don't think you can
What
trust
are
the
you
faraway
complaining about?
trees. Yeah. Yeah, good points all around.
Rocks and trees are my friends.
Oh. That was filled with pathos all of a sudden.
That sounds great. Rocks and trees.
All right, so it's like it's so vague that it's very hard to put together, but it does feel like there's some essential piece of lore that is coalescing here. And I
Yeah,
don't know who these people are. I don't know who these kids are. I don't know why they did what they did. I don't know how the kids thing was able to happen. I don't know what
yeah.
effect that had on the place going forward. I mean, there's so much like I don't know here. I can't even. So anyway, I don't know. In
The
conclusion,
answers to the end are at the beginning. The
Ha!
first thing I thought was the beginning for most people is the
The
tree
tree.
in this road and the
true,
birds
Yeah.
true.
flying. And so I was trying to think
That's a
about
good point.
what that might mean.
That wasn't my thought. My
And-
first thought was the first scene in the show, but that doesn't even make sense. What you're saying makes a lot more sense. I was like, because I was thinking about Lost and how it opens with Jack's eye and then it closes with Jack, like some kind
yeah.
of symmetry like that. But this show doesn't. It opens with this like isolated scene with rando characters. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really apply here. I think the tree thing is a better idea for how it begins. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board with that. And it's a tree too, so it's not a faraway tree apparently, but still, it seems
Mm-hmm.
like there's at least room for some kind of connection there.
Yeah, or it maybe kind of means like they have to go back to finding a tree in the road,
Yeah,
and that'll help them figure out something. Yeah, but okay, then the next part that it all started with the children, what the others did to them. So it's almost like it's saying this was a normal place until this happened,
uh,
right?
yeah,
So right, right, or is it like because I was thinking this was just I think somebody else said before, right? This was like a realm or a world that's connected to everything, right? Um,
you're right.
who
It
said that?
started with the children. I forgot about that line. I guess when you say that, it's sort of like, I mean, the it is doing a lot of work there, but does he mean like the entire town, like all the shit
Being
go?
stuck here, or
Yeah.
like yeah,
Is that what
not
he's
being able to
saying?
leave,
I feel like
or
that's what he's saying, but it is vague enough that like there are other it's possible potentially.
yeah.
But anyway,
Okay, more to ponder.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, further comments or
D-
All good.
we'll revisit this in the
yeah.
future, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will be poring over this shit when they tell us stuff later and complaining, I promise you. All right. Um, okay. So this is sort of our final bit here. It's technically three scenes, but they're all connected. So I'm just gonna kind of roll through.
Okay.
So Elgin arrives at the shack. He calls immediately to Fatima. He walks in and they see each other. Then we go to Boyd, walking to the shack, giving Ellis advice and making some pointless plans that I'm not even going to bother mentioning. While they walk to the shack to meet Fatima, they arrive and find the door open. No one's there. Ellis yells for Fatima. Okay, then we cut to Elgin taking Fatima to the root cellar hatch. The wiki called this the root cellar, so I'm calling this the root cellar.
All right.
Fatima is concerned about how close it is to the town, but Elgin claims Ellis is waiting for you. And this is when I was like, okay, Elgin, you're
Yeah.
you're losing me
Yeah.
here. This is some
Yeah.
fucking bullshit manipulation going on. Like, okay.
Uh-huh.
So he opens the hatch saying there's a room that nobody knows about. He leads Fatima down into the root cellar. He goes through the two doors. He points Fatima to the little bedroom. Fatima calls for Ellis, and there's, of course, no answer. And then she tries to leave. Elgin blocks her from leaving, saying she needs to be there for the baby to be safe. Fatima says there is no baby, and Elgin says, yes, there is. It's just not yours. Fatima tries to push. Yeah, I know.
Nothing
Thanks.
to worry
That's
about.
so creepy.
Fatima tries to push him out of the way and then collapses in some kind of pain. Elgin says, the baby knows you have to stay. And fighting makes it worse. Fatima pushes him over and tries to crawl out of there, but Elgin apologizes and drags her back down the stairs, saying, this is for the best. and then he drags her into the room, and then we cut to credits, and that's the end of our episode for this week. Okay. So my brief comments here. He calls to Fatima at the shack and he never saw her. He knew that was Fatima there at the shack. And to me, that was like the big smoking gun where I was like, oh, okay, he's got some knowledge here that we have not seen why he knows it. Like he must have had some conversations or something. Like, how would he possibly know that Fatima was there?
Did he not? Did he have a picture of the shack?
He had
Or
a
was that
picture of the
another picture?
shack, but why does he know Fatima's in the shack? There's nothing in the picture that says Fatima's in the shack.
Well, but he know. I mean, but I mean, this just goes to the previous thing we were saying about how does he know what the blood's for,
Yeah,
right? So he
totally.
knows this has to do with Fatima and the baby.
I know. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
when he called out to Fatima before even like seeing that she was there, like because there's a
I see.
different way
Yeah.
they could have played the scene where he comes, he
Like
opens
he
the
gets there and he's
door,
surprised to see her, but
yeah,
then he knows why.
and he's like,
what he needs to
oh,
do with it.
he realizes what the point of the mission was, right? Because that would be in line
Yeah.
with what I thought his knowledge level was. But then, of course, I realized looking back that nah, he knew what the blood was too, the blood bag,
Yeah.
right? So like,
I feel like I was gonna say I feel like the scene with the kimono lady saying "help me" came too early. I feel like
I
if it had
agree.
come more recently, then we could just say, okay, they had a conversation and he's putting a
Yeah,
plan into action. But I think there
yeah.
was too much time between now and
And
the last time
he
we
didn't
saw
really
her.
act like it. He's making a
Yeah,
mobile. He's making a
he took
collage.
exactly. Yeah, he took a break, and
Yeah,
so
he's smoking weed. Like he's like, yeah,
yeah.
he's chilling.
Unless
So,
she said like you're gonna need to do something, and you'll know when to start. Like he gave her she gave him some kind of cue, but
Yeah.
yeah,
of when to kind of jump into action. But yeah, I didn't
yeah,
like this. I didn't like this whole abduction. The whole again like you said. Oh, Ellis is here. No, dude, don't go there.
yeah.
Like you
I
know her enough to be able to convince her with a, a logic, whatever you can say about logic in a place like this. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like you should be able to talk to her. It's not so. I don't understand why it's so urgent that it has to. It'd be different if she was in labor at the shack and he finds her and he's like, no, no, no. Everything will go bad if the baby's born outside. You gotta
mm-hmm,
come. You know what I mean? It'd be different if like that was the urgency that made him willing to say anything. But I feel like
yeah,
it just was a mismatch between like it's not that urgent for her. Like, she's heightened in sensitivity and stuff, but there's no like urgency until like, she gets the pain of the baby saying, "Stay here, mommy."
right, right,
Um, so
yep.
yeah, I did not, man, I did not like how they portrayed Elgin manipulating her and
It was weird.
abducting
Elle
her.
just never acted like this before, and I'm just
It's
like,
the
what
Sarah
did
thing. It's
Kimono
it's
Lady
like
tell you?
yeah, but it's like the Sarah thing where
It
like,
is.
you're told something whatever and you just go
And you just go along
100%.
with it. Yeah. Yeah. And she did say, I'll get you home or whatever. So, yeah, it might just come down to that. But I feel like there's got to be an Elgin
And
reckoning
that's
coming here.
I agree and that's the thing is like why can't you just say that? Why can't you
Yeah,
just
totally.
say
He should say that.
this is all to get us home. Like
Yeah.
this is for the baby to be safe so we can go home,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just
But
weird. It's like,
also, no, go ahead.
go ahead. No, 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 go ahead.
I was going to say but also who's the baby daddy?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. It's like it's not yours. Well, it's like, well, what the fuck is it doing in
Yeah.
me then? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know
Yeah.
more? Like, talk, Elgin. Like,
Yeah.
if you've had a whole bunch of like info dumps from
And
Kimono
also, by the
Lady, like, do
way,
tell.
also you're just cool with that. You're just cool
Yeah,
with she's carrying a baby that's not hers by
he's
some
just cool with
supernatural
that.
force. Okay,
Apparently,
that's
yeah.
just a thing that happens.
He doesn't seem super worried about it. He's just like, well, this is what you got to do when you have a baby that ain't
Yeah,
yours,
yeah.
and it's a ghost or something, and you got to take him to a
Like
root cellar
he's
and you
doing a
lock
lot
yourself
for.
in a room.
Yeah, I'm just again, like I said before, I'm confused on how this is helping Kimono Lady. Um, it's almost you would think it'd be a transaction. Okay, Elgin, you help me, and then I'll help you guys get escape.
Yep.
But unless this is her baby somehow, I don't understand where this is going.
Yeah. Which it seems like it's not. Did I already say this baby's gonna be born in the dark? I just wanted to bring that up
You
because I
did,
feel like
yeah.
that might be a link here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a few possible examples for Born in the Dark, and that is one of them.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
it just it.
the baby's first words are "Ankui"?
Oh God, please let it happen.
Of
Oh
course.
no. Oh no. Achille, that's just what the baby says. Oh no. Yeah, it's just it feels like a weird coincidence that Fatima's giving birth in the dark when they just had Victor tell a long story about kids being
Yeah.
born in the dark. So I don't know. It's like, is this the ghost of one of those people? Or like it made me wonder if there's some weird connection there because it just seems like too many overlapping ideas that like if they're really completely separate, that's awkward. I don't know.
But what's really gonna happen? Is she really gonna give birth to an actual physical form? And then
I
what is it going to do?
I I think we're gonna see, but I have no idea. I have no idea.
These
It's,
are the
it's so not
questions.
obvious. I mean, she's not presenting physically, so it makes me think
Yeah.
it's not going to be physical.
That's
But
actually that's actually what I thought was gonna happen in this scene when she gets the abdomen pain. I thought she was gonna like move back her jacket and reveal that she's 9 months pregnant
oh,
suddenly.
yeah. I had a thought like that as well. They did have that one scene in a previous episode where her stomach like kind of folds inwards. Like that's the
Yeah.
closest thing they've done to that so far.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's an episode for you.
Yeah,
There's an
definitely taking
episode.
some crazy turns.
Very crazy
Yeah,
turns, a
lots
lot
of
of
new
reveals, big time
information.
lore,
Yeah.
and questionable decisions and pointless plans.
Mm,
That's my review.
wow. And what a
Threshold.
review it is.
Threshold. Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'm eager to see what will come next.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be the
Mm-hmm.
penultimate next week. There's only two more, so I think we're gonna be ramping some shit up for the end of the season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that at the very least. I think it's not gonna be nothing happening. So all these plot lines are coming to crazy places.
Yeah, it's
They
definitely
are.
getting more. It's coalescing to something seems like very specific. So cool.
Yep. All right, well, ready to
Yeah,
sign it off?
I guess
All
so.
right. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, Claude. Perhaps you'll be
Thank
back
you.
before the end of the season. But in any case, it was a pleasure having your unique and personal insights.
Always a
Um,
pleasure.
and
Until next
until
time.
next time, a
Buzz,
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 buzz.
buzz.